Hello, everybody. My name is Ian Kirkpatrick. I'm an author, idiot, and Lorne streamer, and today we're going to be doing a book review of Something So Lovely by Salem T. Lynn. Now, this book was brought to my attention by the author mentioning it, and so I went and grabbed it, and it is what it is. We're going to discuss this book. If you're interested in seeing it for yourself and getting informing your own opinion on the content, I highly recommend you check it out, read it for yourself, and let's talk about the elements. But before we get started, number one, if you enjoy what I do here on this channel, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Number two, if you would like to be featured on the channel, check out the links down in the description below. The number one way to be featured is through LMY, the monthly prompt writing contest, where I give you a prompt, you write a short story using that prompt, and on the first Monday video of the month, we bask in your creativity. The second way to be featured is if you are an indie author and you have a book out or a book that is coming out. If you submit it to the Fresh Meat feature, that first chapter will be read here on the channel to hopefully help more readers find your work. And then once you cast those dice, what happens, happens. It's scary. The third thing is, if you would like to check out any of my books, is if it is time to read me for the wretch that I am. They're available at any of your favorite places to get books, including the local library upon request. My newest novel, Body More Zero, actually came out today, so if you want to wreck it, now is your chance. With that said, let's get into this. Now, we all know that the most difficult thing for any indie author is to get your stuff out there and to get it read and to get it talked about, because talking about a book, talking about the characters is what gives them life. And I have a policy, as you probably know from all of my other videos, is I treat indie books and non-indie books. I treat indie books and trad books. I treat books, no matter where they are from, the same way. We're going to talk about them with the same amount of legitimacy. We're going to talk about them with the same level of praise or criticisms. This week, I had wanted to do Camp Damascus because somebody, one of you, had sent that to my P.O. box. I am reading it, just so you know. Whoever sent it, feel free to take credit in the comments. But I am reading it. I did not get it read today because I was actually reading this, and then I didn't have enough time this week to also read that. So next week will be Camp Damascus. I was hoping to get it done this week to be appropriate for the Halloween, but we're doing this instead. Let's get into this book. Kind of reminded me of Crowcaller's book, not gonna lie. So if you are into that, be prepared. If you're not into that, be prepared. And let's get into it. We're opening with a quote that is the first couple of paragraphs of the book to create the setup, to create the vibe. Tonight, heaven is going to have a party. Although I'm not a social being, I have to admit the clashing of cultures captures my attention every single time. Angels, demons, and humans all mingling like it were normal. Maybe the reason I like it so much but never joined them is because I still don't know my place among them. I've heard the stories a million times. God creates heaven and the angels, they're great. God creates hell, throws all of his rejected creations in it. God creates earth and purgatory, and with them, the humans. Then, purgatory is annihilated and the humans become everyone else's problem, even the realms outside of our little corner of existence. The angels fall and become demons, and then God disappears. And we're all better off that way, if you ask me. Nowhere in this story do I get answers, though. Nowhere do I figure out where I come from or why I'm stuck here. So you would think, number one, starting off, she's an angel. So you would think that she would see, like, at least assume she's living in heaven. Her best friend's an angel. What is the difference between her and the other angels that makes her believe that she is not an angel? She can just say she doesn't feel like she fits in, but she would still technically be an angel and believe that she is an angel. Because who raised her to make her think that she doesn't fit in and she doesn't know where she comes from? She'd have an assumption, right? At least somebody would have raised her and told her where she came from, right? Who is her parent? Because we know that later we know that she got rebirthed, so she was a little infant at some point. Who raised her? Another thing is, we already see her hatred and distaste for humans immediately when she says, well, they were created and they became everyone else's problems, which is also an interesting way to approach this, because the villain of this book, we're going to learn who he is later, Manny. His entire thing is that God created humans. He got pissed off that humans were created because God preferred humans over him. And then he destroyed Purgatory out of jealousy. So if this main character is supposed to contrast Manny, then that's not there. If she's not supposed to contrast Manny and is actually supposed to be another manifestation of Manny, or or exactly the same or very similar to Manny, then that works. But we're going to learn who Calliope is, and it might be Calliope, but I'm going to say Calliope. But we're going to learn who she is as we go, and who Manny is, and what exactly happened to Purgatory. The final thing that I will say is that God apparently came in, created this stuff, and then was like, irredeemable, and then he just left. It was like starting a game of The Sims, filling out all of the houses, and then just deciding that you're done, and never logging back in again and saying, see for yourself. The reason to immediately share this quote from the very top of the story as well is to show that there's not going to be any culture, heavenly culture, hellish culture submitted to the story. There's really no world building to it, in the same way that Crowcaller's book also had no world building. And I'm sorry to compare and contrast to Crowcaller, but Crowcaller, which is a book that Crowcaller's books, which are books that I read last December / I think January. I read the second one. You can find those reviews on the channel. But that had a school with angels and demons going to it, and there was virtually no difference between the angels and demons. And you're going to see the same thing here. There is no difference between the angels and the demons. And for some reason, there is this constant desire to do what God is missing. Angels and demons are the same thing. Lucy is apparently a mother of all everybody. This main character starts out being stupid. Where did I come from? Well, did God create everything, or did he not create everything? Because if you're going to go, well, I don't know where I came from, after saying that you know that God created the universe, is this just a hatred of God to the point that you can't admit that is where you came from? We find out that this character is the only creature in heaven that's not allowed to leave heaven for some unknown reason, and she idolizes Lucifer and his rebellion, which, quote, Heaven's library boasts extraordinary stained glass windows. They depict the story of how all of this came to be in stunning color that catch the sun just right, no matter what time of day it is. So apparently heaven has different times of day. My favorite has always been the one that I find myself staring at now, the one that shows the fall of Lucifer and the angels who followed him. I've never so much as seen him, though I admire that he wasn't afraid to stand up for what he believed in and still does. I'd like to think that I could be like that in another life instead of like me. So, questions here. Number one, why is she in heaven if she idolizes Lucifer? It sounds like maybe she should not be in heaven because, she's worshiping the guy of the rebellion. She's worshiping the backstabber. She's worshiping the great deceiver. Number two, why do they have relics and shrines to the great deceiver, to the great rebellious man? Usually when you turn on the king of a country and you try to take over and you're exiled, you don't get statues and memorials that are depictions that make you look great. You get if anything, you get depictions that make you look like a baby, for lack of better words. Her friend and co-worker, Celophiel, I'll call him Cel most of the time, comes in and asks how things are going before saying that she should go to the party tonight. Kind of surprised that she's allowed to do that when she's been hidden away, and by going to this party where angels, demons, and humans are going to be, she'll kind of be exposed to them, but okay. Also, we learn another thing that heaven is against: individualism. Quote, there is no room for what wasn't supposed to be, no need for the individuality and self-importance of the fallen. So we're supposed to believe that the origin story of this novel is that God did not create humans with free will as a feature, but that was a bug? Because that's what creates individualism. Now, anybody can take the mythology of creationism or the biblical mythology and restructure it however you like to create your new stories, in the same way that people, take ghost stories or take the mythology stories from the Greek and Roman gods, or, any doing that. But if you're going to take the Bible, and this is the problem that I've run into, and I know there are authors that do much better, but if you're going to take the Bible and rework the mythology of the Bible, you have to not assume that the reader is already familiar with that story. However, in many cases, there are authors that reference the Christian Bible, that reference the Christian background, that have, these minor references like the fall, but they change things so drastically, and they just assume that whatever it is they're talking about, when they have actually literally changed everything about the story. In this book, we're going to find that Lilith is a thing, the main character is Calliope, so we're getting into Greek over there. We're also going to see Persephone show up, and so we've got this, and the guy who runs Purgatory, who destroyed Purgatory, is named Emmanuel. We're also going to find that there are multiple rulers of heaven and hell, that they're called realms, and that there are realms outside of heaven, hell, purgatory, and earth, though it's never described what those realms are. So we've got a lot going on. We're also going to have this meeting with some of the other rulers where Belial is involved, and Belial is another name for Satan. So we've got multiple Satans. When you involve Persephone, then you have to ask, is Hades here? Is Persephone cheating on Hades? Is Persephone never seeing Hades in this version? And so when you mix all of these things, you need to start introducing how they work. When you have angels and demons having a party in heaven, then you have to explain how demons are allowed in heaven, while also saying that you have a fall where the angels were kicked out. If angels and demons can just party together, then why did the fall even happen? What are the regulations on demons coming to heaven? So that's something. But if that's the case, then you're going to need to explain why individuality is a problem when individuality has always been a feature of creationism. On top of that, we got other questions like there are different times of day in heaven, and Calliope, who works, and Calliope, who has a job working in a library, has to close a library and lock it up for the night. Now, what does it imply if you need to lock up the library? It means that there is crime. It means that you don't trust the people in heaven to not destroy or steal stuff in your library. So can I get the crime stats that are in heaven if we have to lock the doors? Because is she on the good side of heaven or the bad side of heaven? How many fall and live on the bad side of heaven? Is it just the humans that bring the crime? Getting to that, this is how it came up, because Calliope has to close the library early because the party is happening. And as she is getting ready to shut the library, she is also openly lusting over the seventh son, the slutty son of hell. Quote, Asmodeus's reputation, as told by others, is just as amusing. He'll flirt with anything that moves, yet somehow still makes you feel special. He sleeps around, but you'll never forget him. He's the most charming thing in existence. For some reason, he never comes to these parties. Usually he can only be found in hell. So the thought that I could be in the same room with him is alluring. Just to look, though, I don't see how I could possibly catch his eye when he has the pick of anyone he wants. So that then brings up the question, if he never comes to these parties, then why is he coming to this one? I don't really know why that detail was necessary, because if you just make him come to every party because he gets laid with angels every time he comes, like, then it makes him look like a playboy. And then you don't have to explain why he is coming to this one. Spoiler alert, we never get a reason why he came to this one specifically. And if it was for Calliope, then that means that everybody knew that Sel was going to push her into coming, and he was hoping to meet her. But why wouldn't he come every other time to meet her? Because he is her eternal stalker, we're going to find out. Continuing forward, we run into an issue here that it would be breaking down the hierarchy and immediately making the main character violent and impulsive. Quote, I'll introduce you, Celophiel laughs. Just don't tell Michael, as if Michael's not going to be there. Let's be real. Like I'd ever do that, I roll my eyes. Though Celophiel is one of the 6 heavenly rulers like Michael is, he's not often treated like it. Michael always finds something wrong with me or the library, and Cel is usually the one trying to get him to lighten up. We've never had a conversation that didn't end with me wanting to throw something in Michael. Telling him that I'd want to meet his sinful half-brother would only make things worse for me. Good, because I think he's going to absolutely adore you. So, number one, why not make this Gabriel? Because we're going to learn later that Gabriel is the one that is actually violent. Michael is very accommodating this entire time and never really puts up a fight against her, so I don't know why he's mentioned here. Number two, why do we have an angel telling another angel to go and hook up with a demon? Like, tell me the culture here, because already, what's the difference? At this point, I'm just like, they're fae. You've got heaven and hell, you've got the court of dreams and the court of nightmares, that's all that this is. This also sounds immediately like the main character from Polaris Rising, which I did a review on 2 or 3 weeks ago, where there is also no value or weight put behind assault from the main character, which tells you that it's both normal for the character to be aggressive like this, and also there's no mind to it. So what's she even doing in heaven when she glorifies the great deceiver, the rebel against heaven, and she has violent impulses, and she is lusty? What makes her an angel, exactly? Why does this hierarchy with Sel and Michael matter when she's not fearful of any consequence like attacking him? Meanwhile, the second ruler of heaven is more than willing to introduce the main character to a slutty son of hell. Why? Because he would know that the slutty son of hell flirts with anything that moves, and it would be a risk to Calliope. They've also got a really bad history together where, plot twist, slutty son of Calliope killed Calliope in a previous life. And so this guy is like, you know what? Let's put them together. Maybe if Celophiel was part of some big bad bringing on Armageddon thing where it needed to have Celophiel and Calliope be together, so he pretended he didn't know and he was actually evil this whole time, that would work. But I don't understand why this angel, who knows that the slutty seventh son killed her before, would be like, I'm going to introduce you. It's a setup. How could it be anything but a setup? I need answers. When she's told that she will meet the slutty seventh son, she immediately only thinks that she is way too plain to get laid because that's the only value there is in meeting a guy. She could obviously not have a friendship. She cannot obviously talk to him on a one-to-one level of some kind. The only reason to talk to somebody is to get laid with them. Otherwise, why the frick do you bother? So obviously we know that Celophiel is going to have some level of bangability if we're spending this much time talking to him, right? Quote, it's not like it's obvious either, because Asmodeus is known for pursuing beauty, and I don't think that I'm exceptional enough to matter to him. My hair is plain, black, wavy, and just below my shoulders. I'm pale, too pale. If I were human, I'd look sick all the time. Though my eyes are blue, and Sel has said they're quite nice, I don't feel like they're enough to make someone like Asmodeus interested. I'm not even a height that sets me apart. Everything about me is overwhelming, and it's fine for the library, but not for an event like this. So you just think that you exist in a manner that's not ever appropriate to look at. Also, I would like to point out this young man over here with his pale skin and dark hair that is above his shoulders, looking a little bit ill. Not everybody's type, but his wife is a hottie. She's got to go on about how plain she is and bleh she is, and she is also assuming that Asmodeus is hot, but she has no idea what he looks like. She admits that she has never seen him before, but in her mind, she is pretty sure that he is a hottie McBody and blazing, and if she touched him, she would just burst into smoke, evaporate, as she is made of water. And moist, if you know what I mean. She also says that she might have a chance, even though she is so plain. She just said she has no chance at all, but she still might have a chance. So she's thinking on this guy, doesn't know what he looks like, but is ready to sleep with him anyway. Is this his seductive ability where he doesn't even have to introduce himself to you to get you to like pound town? She says that she's chill being alone, and so is her boss buddy Sel, and says that she's stopped trying to get with anyone because she's been told that she's boring. But here she is spending a page thinking about getting with Asmodeus as at the mention of his name. So she really hasn't given up on meeting somebody. She just says that she's given up on meeting somebody until she has the possibility of meeting somebody, and then she's like, Actually, putting away the last book at the library as the library closes, she finds this creepy man, thin man, hiding in the back of the library section where almost nobody goes. He's just back there. He creeps on her a bit before she finds her escape from the place and runs into a striking copper-skinned demon. This guy helps her escape from the creep by putting an arm around her, pretending that they know each other and walking off. She doesn't lock the library when she's left because she doesn't want to go back because the creepy guy might be there, and she thinks, quote, I don't think that the lock is actually engaged for the library, and I don't think I care. How much damage could anyone do to a library anyway? Again, I think the better question is, how much crime is there in heaven? Also, you can do a lot of damage to a library, like setting a fire. Books are a fire hazard. Unless, what are the books in the library made of? Now we have to ask that question. Do they have paper in heaven? Is there a paper shortage? Do they make them out of clouds? Do they make them out of wishes? Are they fire retardant? I don't know. The man eventually introduces himself as Asmodeus, of course, and he wants to take her to Sel because something important is going on. All of a sudden, she doesn't trust this guy. They get to the party house that's not set up yet, but there will be a party there later to talk to Sel. Calliope is worried that she upset this weird library patron and that she is going to be in trouble because of it. I guess there are no survival instincts here where, you know, she could look at the crazy guy and be like, I don't think I want to run into this guy. He's probably a demon. He probably came for the party because the gates of heaven are open today to all the weirdos that want to come to the party. But instead of being worried in the same way that she worried when she ran out, she's like, now she's like, I think I hurt his feelings. It's okay to be suspect. Like, forced naivety is something that I find very annoying. I'm going to talk about it in this book. I'm going to talk about it in Camp Damascus, where it's at some point you run into a situation and your character has to have at least a modicum of suspicion in order to respond appropriately. Because if you've been in a dangerous situation, if you didn't trust that guy before, why are you trusting him now? The guy that you just ran into also doesn't trust him. And now all of a sudden your opinion is changing on a creepy man. I have to wonder if it is a prerequisite to be a complete moron when it comes to romance novel heroines. Sellafiel tells her that she's in danger and they must hide her in hell. She's never left heaven and is afraid, but he is so fearful and she listens. Quote, "Though I want to argue, I've never seen Sel so frightened by anything. The look on his face is jarring, and all I can do is nod and hope that he is right, that I can trust the demon prince that I've never met before to take me to the realm that I have never seen before, and that I will be safe from the threat that I know nothing about." So you are ready to jump this guy's bones. You didn't know what he looked like. You're distrusting of him, but you're like, I will get naked, but I don't trust him. So she's led into hell pretty much as just a staircase from heaven, and they go down. The place is a constellation, a mess and artful, unlike heaven, which is all about order. She's admiring the freedom of all of the demons just being themselves, while angels attempt to appear human, and then they're on their way to see Lucifer himself. So if I'm going to say that if I see that angels attempt to mimic humans, is that why heaven has a concept of time? So does hell not have a concept of time and does not have working hours? It's kind of just show up when you show up to work and like nobody shows up to work. But like heaven has strict hours and a day and nighttime because they're mimicking human norms. Is that what I should take? Anyway, she is brought into Lucifer's estate. Michael is there for some reason, the Archangel Michael. Michael is the half-brother to the demon sons. We'll partially learn how that works later. And Calliope is worried about upsetting Lucifer in his hot temper. Instead of trying to figure out what's going on, she's deliberately not thinking about it and pacing the library, touching books, waiting for Asmodeus and his eternally damned smile. We're going to find this to be a constant with Calliope, where anything important is going on or something is being involved with her. Instead of being curious, instead of finding out what people are trying to make her do, she just pretends it's not happening, looks away, stops listening entirely, and then looks at them like, sorry, I wasn't listening? Why do people keep making me do things that I don't want to do and I don't know what's going on, though? The two of them flirt, that is Asmodeus and Calliope, before Lucifer and Michael come in to collect them into the office, where they bicker until Saliophil calls Calliope important. Lucifer says that he wanted to wait to tell her about what's going on, and Saliophil says, quote, "You are a successor to Purgatory and its power. We kept it hidden from you so that you could have a chance at being safe, because you're the only thing that can prevent Emmanuel from doing to the rest of the realms what he did to Purgatory." So they hid from her power levels so that she can't fight Manny, because she is the thing that can help Manny destroy the realms, but she is also the only thing that can destroy Manny. Maybe they should have raised her as a warrior to defeat Manny, because it feels like they had a perfect opportunity. Quote, "You are. Lucifer is the only one who looks me in the eye. We've kept it secret and kept you oblivious in heaven so Manny would not find you. And we could watch you until it was time for you to come into your powers. We had hoped that you would be ready for fight with him before he found you." I'm supposed to fight him? I don't fight anyone. He can have Purgatory and its power. I don't want this. I feel like the only sane person in the room. This isn't happening. I want to go back to the library, back to my books, back to before I came into this room and back to when I was safe. What does he want from me? If he were to obtain your powers in addition to his, he could and would destroy everything. Lucifer, with a reputation for his temper, is soft-spoken. I hate it. Not just Purgatory, not just you. Everything. The fact that he didn't means that he was sending the rest of us a message. He can get you. He can get to you. Whenever and wherever he wants to. This is a being who enjoys playing games with those he's interested in simply because he can. He's not bluffing. He's unflinching and serious, and I hate it. So what's her power? This unidentified whatever the power is. Also, I love the trope that the bad guy knows where you are, wants your power, and is just taunting you and doesn't take it when he could take it right now before you're developed. Even though he knows where you are, he's just going to taunt you and bide his time for no apparent reason, because he just has to be this superpower thing that only she can stop, and so he's not making moves for plot reasons. Also, can we get a reason why Manny wants to destroy everything? I mean, we're going to get it later, but they could have said it here. They could have, instead of arbitrarily holding all the information back, been like, so he destroyed Purgatory because he hates humans a lot like you actually, and is jealous of the humans, and so he just destroyed it. So then what's Manny want to destroy the other realms for? Because the other realms do not have God's attention in them. Is he just mad at God and wants to destroy all of God's toys? And was Lucifer not part of predicted Armageddon in this book? Because he would be part of the end of the realms in... Like I said, you can change the lore, but when you do, you need to explain it rather than relying on people knowing because you've changed it, and so we're going to default to what is stated canonically, which doesn't work with the lore that is presented here, or the suggestive lore that is presented here without backup. Because in the original Christian lore, Satan also wanted to destroy humanity. So if he doesn't want to destroy humanity now, why? Also, don't think it's lost on me that Lucy is going to be like the mommy for the main character, and the bad guy of the story is named Emmanuel. Like, very subtle hatred right there. Calliope is informed that only she can fight Manny because she's from Purgatory, and nobody else can fight the Purgatory powers. You can only fight within your own realm, which is also dumb because we're later going to have Manny who can fight on Earth and fight in heaven and fight in hell. So why is Purgatory the best realm? This also brings into the question of why are you going to take her to a party and introduce her to everyone to get people talking about her when there is clearly a demon of some sort, this underlying god of some sort, this god of some sort looking for her, wanting to murder her? Is the whole point like getting her in front of people to think that she can't be assassinated because JFK? Because she is so important, she will not be allowed to go anywhere alone anymore. She doesn't fight on any of this, even though she doesn't like it, and everything as she listens, she doesn't want to do it, but she won't say stop. She won't say anything. She doesn't really have any autonomy of her own to make any of her decisions, and she doesn't really have any stubbornness about her to make any decisions. After this initial conversation, she leaves with Asmodeus for the time, and he takes her to the mansion's library, because that's where she's most comfortable, and she admires and looks at all of the human, angelic, and demonic books on the shelves. She also pretends that she doesn't need to react right now. Quote, "I'm processing. I'm going to panic later. I sound fine, but my time of masking anxiety in heaven is the only reason that I am not a complete mess. And even then, I don't know how long I can stay fine." But you knew who Manny was. Didn't seeing him scare you? Makes me think, again, of Polaris Rising, where Ada says that she would cry later about killing people and then never did. It's just lazy excuse to not write the consequences of this mess into the story. Meanwhile, they flirt. Quote, "That's me, Prince of Thoughtfulness." He smiles back, and the book in my hands may as well not exist. "If I'm thoughtful, what are you? Besides beautiful, obviously." "Obviously." I roll my eyes and put the book back, so hopefully he won't see me flush red. The rumors are true. He will flirt with anything that breathes. Why did I think that I'd be an exception? I don't actually know how to describe myself. What's a good answer? Should I be flirty? He's clearly flirting with me, right? Does it have to be accurate? I want to describe myself as scared, as feeling inadequate, as being overwhelmed. I'm supposed to be important. I'm supposed to be strong. I'm nice, smooth, nailed it. Would have said smart, he laughs, but nice is good. I don't feel very smart. I didn't even know who Manny was. Well, that's not your fault. He frowns a little. The rulers decided that was best. I don't know where they're getting that she's smart from. She hasn't done anything smart so far. And in order to drag the story out, it makes more excuses for why they can't tell her anything. Quote, "What does he want with me?" I probably am not allowed to tell you. Suffice to say, there's nothing good about him. He craves destruction. He wants to replace God before. He likely still does. Replace God? What does that have to do with me? You. Ugh. He He really seems like he wants to tell me, but after seeing Michael and Lucifer's reactions to everything that happened today, I get why he can't explain it. As much as I want answers, I can't put him in that kind of position. I can't pit him against the rulers. Keeping things a secret like this doesn't actually build tension into a story. It just looks like it's forcing a mystery by lack of tension, especially when your characters reiterate that I could tell you, but I don't want to for arbitrary reasons. Let's compare this to what was done in the story we're reading in the Loin stream that happened last week, where the main character as Ravencourt talked to a future version of himself who was on day 8, who had seen how all 8 days had already played out. And Ravencourt version was asking Daniel Coleridge version, so what is going to happen? Can you tell me what's going to happen so we can figure this out together? And Daniel Coleridge version was like, I can't tell you what's going to happen because I have plans for how I'm going to use my day, and I need you to not change your behavior from what I expect you to do because I've seen what you do before. So I can't tell you what's going to happen because I already have plans to use your expected behavior for my plans. So that makes sense. This does not make sense. At least as much as the book implies, as much as the 7.5 deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle shows that Daniel is probably going to be a dick, he is thoughtful in his dickery. Asmodeus hands her a book of human poetry that she can't read, and she admits that she can't read human languages because she's always been stupid. She never tried to learn any human languages, never saw any reason to learn human languages, which, I mean, you have humans walking around you all the time. Who comes to the library? Do you only serve angels? Do you not serve humans? You don't communicate with any of the humans that come in the library? You don't have any human language books in the library? What books are in the angel library? They have more books in Lucifer's house than in the angel library? I'm asking so many questions now. I'm sorry, but I wonder. So Asmodeus says he'll teach her someday, and he says that she is going to need to learn how to dance as well for the party tonight. Quote, I guess I need to learn how to dance, I mumble, avoiding eye contact. I've never been one for flirting. The fact that I've reciprocated him at all is adventurous for me. He dances with her and she gets too nervous, so they sit down and start reading the human poetry book together instead. She dreams of dancing with Asmodeus and then wakes up to hear Lucy and everyone arguing over her. We're going to learn that this book constantly likes to use eavesdropping in order to give new information because it doesn't seem like it knows another way to present or figure out information that's not eavesdropping. Quote, Solilophile let me know that Calliope has bad habits of being stubborn and headstrong. Lucifer sounds annoyed. So, you need to keep her happy. Her powers haven't surfaced yet, and as far as we can tell, we don't want them to be fueled by fear or anger when they do. We don't need another Manny out there. What else does Solilophile have to say about her? What kind of things does she like? Asmodeus asks, and my heart skips, knowing that he wants to know more about me, even if it is in the context of immeasurable evil trying to kill me. She liked... Keep it in your pants, boy. This is serious. I am being serious. All you need to do is make sure that she is not going to do anything stupid. If even one thing goes wrong, Manny will have an opening and he'll use it. So everyone going to lay off and let me spend time with her? I think that I can distract her for tonight. And after, don't push it. She still likes me. Why is that a bad thing? Did you forget what happened to Est? Lucifer hisses. This is why it's a bad thing. Look, if it was that bad, you wouldn't let your slutty son take care of her. You'd go let somebody else take care of her. Not the one that murdered her last time. Where is the sense in that? Yeah, I'm going to let you be alone with her. Might murder again later. Calliope decides that she needs to interrupt them, but before they make any more plans for her, but all she does is walk in and they go, oh, how was your nap? She doesn't even say anything. She just walks into the room and stands there because Calliope doesn't have any agency. And after she walks in and they ask her about her nap, they're like, okay, this is what we're doing tonight. This is what you're doing tonight. Just as Lucy is leaving Calliope with Asmodeus, he takes her aside and warns her that Asmodeus is not trustworthy, so don't fall for his manipulative tactics. He is not taking this as seriously at all. If he was, he would not be leaving them with Asmodeus because you're literally saying, I'm leaving the sheep with the wolf. But I know this, but I want the sheep to not believe the wolf, who she's been giving goo-goo eyes and creating waterfalls for since the moment I saw them together. And then King of Hell says, quote, I can't force you to distance yourself. I'm not even going to try, lest you do it behind our backs, but I will implore you to use your head and not encourage him. I do believe you're smart enough to know better. Look, you're this guy's dad, okay? You should be able to punish him. You fell from heaven defending your child. You should be able to discipline your child if he doesn't listen to you. Why are you relying on Calliope? Spank your son. When she leaves with Asmodeus, she doesn't want to ruin their relationship, but there's already some coldness between them. He says that he'll tell her what's up, but he doesn't want to do it yet. She's walking with Asmodeus toward the Heavens Mansion. They run into Celophiel, who says that they're a cute couple. Then she gets annoyed, quote, like with everything else, I do tell Celophiel everything that happened. No one pays me any special notice as we walk the crowded streets. Everyone's too busy preparing for the ball, gossiping, and even if they weren't, I'm nothing special here. I'm a normal fixture in heaven, as expected, as any other being. It annoys me that this will likely be the last time that I walk the streets like this and not be something special, a sentiment that makes its way into my rant. So she's complaining that she is nothing special in literally the same paragraph that she's saying after tonight she will be something special and she doesn't want it. But also she is walking through the streets as nothing special and it bothers her. Cell also gives her a dress after saying, I know you hate dresses. Fortunately, it is the perfect dress that she can't pass up because of its perfection. She has no words. And then you get this little nugget, quote, do you want advice as your friend who loves you? I only nod. Being the target of Manny is going to suck now that he knows about you. You should enjoy yourself while you can. And if that means falling for Asmodeus, I don't see the harm in it. At his words, my body fills with the same warmth Asmodeus exudes. The idea that I could really fall for him and him for me is both comforting and exhilarating. If that's one good thing that can come from all of this, maybe Celophiel is right. Maybe leaning on Asmodeus isn't a bad idea. Besides, Cell adds, I'm always here to catch you if he doesn't. Okay, number 1. Lucy saying, don't fall for my manipulative son. 2, an angel, Celophiel, ruler in heaven, is also over here saying, hey, bang that demon. And also, if the demon betrays you, I'm here to catch you. Does not read sussy to anybody else. Like, he wants her to fail so he can catch her when she is betrayed, so he can get them shots. He's telling her to play with fire. What kind of angel says mess around with a demon because you're going to die anyway, and then I can give you the breath of life afterwards? Cell is hanging around with Calliope, waiting for the party to happen, schmoozing with her and helping her into her dress legitimately. You know, there's nothing talking about him checking her out. He's just helping her in and out of her clothing. And Calliope is like, I don't know how to feel about this because I don't look like me. She also is needlessly angsting, quote, the dress came with a mask. And he says that it's some ridiculous human tradition carried out for these events, that everyone will be in them. Fine, it'll help hide the real me even more, and it will cover up my embarrassment that I'll feel when this all goes horribly wrong. Part of this feels like personal emotions fixed with tropes seen in other works just to put it in here for the hell of it. And he is also hyping her up because she's anxious, saying that it's going to be fine and that he's not going to think about spending any time with Asmodeus. But he is seething as he's thinking about her spending time with Asmodeus, as he encourages her to spend time with Asmodeus, and he's thinking, I need to wait for my turn, I need to wait for my turn. So Michael is the one to walk with her to the party. I don't know why it wasn't Celophiel, but it was traded off to Michael, and she just hangs on him until they get inside, and then she goes somewhere else to stand against a wall until Celophiel again finds her and asks her why she's not dancing. This is right after she had just said all she wanted was for Asmodeus to drag her onto the dance floor so that she could forget about the weight of whatever is going on and just have a good time, but she doesn't even try. She is such a wet blanket that everyone else has to have her do something, and that she will not do anything for herself. She won't even go over to the buffet table if there is a buffet table. There must be a buffet table. Accommodating for the humans, right? and like stuffing her face. She's just wallflowering. Asmodeus eventually walks in and everyone is thirsting after him immediately. Calliope is like, oh well, I didn't have a chance anyway. And Sel is over here telling her that she definitely has a chance. Don't lose your beans, and that she needs to go for it. Being an absolute cuck, Sellafield delivers Calliope straight to Asmodeus, even when she's like, I don't think that he likes me though. And she dances with Asmodeus because obviously he likes her, and she feels better than everybody else at the party while at the same time being low on confidence. And she deflects Asmodeus's compliments, quote, you look amazing in this dress, Ollie. He gets me to look up at him. Everyone here looks amazing. That's the point. You stand out. I don't want to. I'm flirting with you. He gives me a small sigh with his smile. I know that. If I wasn't red in the face before, I am now. He's brazen, confident, and blissfully unaware that he is so far above me. Are you immune to me? You always have comeback. Usually by now, anyone else would be throwing themselves at me. You'd like that, wouldn't you? I can't help but smile. I'm not immune. I just don't really know you, Asmodeus. Most people don't need to know me deeply to enjoy my company deeply. If you know what I mean, I'm talking about my dick. Also, you get him asking if she'll be interested in him, quote, what if there are things that you'll learn about me that aren't good? No one is perfect. You are. I know that you don't remember, but The music ends. It's funny he should say that because later when Calliope is thinking about who she was in the past, that before her current reincarnation, she addresses all of her predecessors' shortcomings. So, I mean, obviously, since Asmodeus over here was deadly in love with his stepmother, that's what you heard. He's just going to imagine she doesn't have any shortcomings, and Calliope, being who she is, also has to recognize all of her predecessor's shortcomings. While dancing, Gabriel and Michael get up on the stage to introduce Calliope as the new ruler of Purgatory. She gets freaked out by this, having an anxiety attack, and doesn't want any of this power and attention, and runs away to go and hide in a secret garden. Quote, it's dark around me. I'm far enough away from everything that the lights and sound of the party can't find me. It's not until I hear someone walking up the path toward me that I realize exactly what I've done. I'm completely alone, defenseless, and no one knows where I am. I'm a willing target. I'm an idiot. I can't breathe, let alone move. So I wait for the inevitable. So we've been told that she is the smartest. How many times now? And I get that she is having an emotional breakdown, but maybe everybody should stop lying to her about how good and perfect and smart she is so that she can actually learn to be good and smart and perfect. Also, it's so on the nose of the running into garden, then realizing in the narrative how helpless she is. You can't even the book didn't even need to say that. Build the scene with sensory information and then end it. Then surprise us in the next chapter when something happens. Not, I sit here and wait for the inevitable. The fact that that is in the narrative, it means that she knows she has time to escape because she knows better. It makes me think of the South Park episode where they're talking about people getting run over by the train. Was that the Olong Johnson one? Where they were doing the train challenge, and then the train would start coming down, and it's like all the way over there, and they stay in the train tracks even though they see it coming, and they're like, this was inevitable. But don't worry, it's just Asmo coming down. The person that she hears on the steps is just Asmodeus, and she's comforted that he is there. And it also has her saying that she feels like she should be telling him to go away, but she would feel bad if she did tell him to go away. She's just overwhelmed with existing right now. BRB, taking a break. She asks him if he knew her before, and he says yes. She starts prying more into their background, and he's evasive, so she starts going on about not wanting to be a ruler, and he's encouraging, saying that she won't go through this alone, and then gets down on his knees to put her shoes back on for her. I can put on my own shoes. I know that you can. I'm trying to be nice. He looks up at me with that stupid, charming smile that makes my brain stop working. You're beautiful, smart, independent little shit who doesn't need help. Now, give me your foot. He helps her up. She's insanely attracted to him. He eventually kisses her, and she feels very familiar with him, like she knew him in a past life, which he already said, yeah, we knew each other before, so. and she wants to know how she knew him. Michael and Seraphil interrupt things as they show up, and Manny is also there. A laser-fast fight ensues where she is pushed out of the way, out of danger, but then bumps her poor little head and passes out. Calliope cries about being this helpless little girl in the face of danger, and Manny is angry that his plans were disrupted. Quote, "Lovely to see you again." He grins at me like he's won a prize by finding me here. Such a shame that I had this all planned out. You were supposed to give a speech, were you not? I was gonna kill you on that stage. Make you a martyr. Now I have to settle for simply making you scream. So she decides now that she's going to have courage, and she stands there as he grabs her wrists. She puts a hand on him, something explodes, and she passes out, just feeling all of this energy bomb. Quote, "I can't even speak. I can't move. I'm going to die like a coward, where everyone can see the ruler who lasted 10 minutes before it all ended. As I look from the crowd, who will surely die next, to Manny, something in me snaps. If I'm going to die, then I want to do it with dignity. Asmodeus said to not let him see me scared. So I won't. I stand up on my own shaky legs and pretend that I'm not looking at the last face I'll ever see. I focus on my confidence that I should have had to get up on stage and announce myself, the confidence that I need to believe this might not be the real end. Do you think that you can stand against me?" Aren't I? I've never sounded so sure of myself before. I glare like I could actually challenge him, and then he suddenly looks far less amused. His own stare burns into my mind and makes me want to flee back into the trees. In the blink of an eye, he's standing in front of me, and I see an arm reaching for me on instinct alone. I hold mine up to protect myself and close my eyes tight. His hand crosses around my wrist, and I push against him like that would be enough to save myself. I've blown backwards with more force than I've ever been hit with, and with a sick thud, I land, rolling onto my back. I can hear pure chaos around me, but I can barely move. The only thing that I see as my vision fades is the stars twinkling above, unbothered as they watch the beginning of what I'm sure is going to be the end of everything. She dreams about meeting a woman named Lilith, and that woman says that Calliope is developing her powers now. She won't answer any questions and says that some woman, I'm assuming whoever Calliope used to be her friend. Then she wakes up in Lucy's mansion. Michael, Asmodeus, and Lucy are all standing around her, arguing over who let this disaster happen. I would blame Lucifer because he knew better and still let Asmodeus be the guard, but also not the guard because at some point Asmodeus disappeared, and Selalathiel was watching Calliope. So where did Asmodeus go when he said that he was going to be the one to track her so she wasn't alone? The conversation is all over the place. Quote, "Was a disaster. How did he get in? You wouldn't know, would you? Is that why you were late?" Michael sounds livid. He's never yelled at me like that, never at anyone in front of me either. "Are you trying to insinuate that I let Manny into heaven? You think I'm that stupid? You'd think that I'd put Allie in that kind of danger?" Asmodeus yells back. His rage makes my blood run cold. "You're both stupid." Lucifer is the only one not yelling. Instead, he sounds eerily calm at the entire situation, though still clearly aggravated. "Manny wants us to fight and wants us to distrust Asmodeus, so don't give him that satisfaction. He has broken into heaven twice now, that we know of, and that needs to be our focus. You need to stay away from her. It was a mistake to let you anywhere near her, and it's going to end now." It doesn't take a genius to know that Michael is talking to Asmodeus. "If anything happens to her, I will make sure it's the last thing that you do. She can make her own choices, and she's clearly stronger than any of us have expected. She'll be fine." "I sincerely doubt that." Lucifer speaks up again. "If she knew the truth, I doubt she'd choose to remain around any of us. She should have waited to do this. She's not ready. Maybe if we told her everything, she'd be fine. Look at what happened yesterday. We can't keep her in the dark. She ran out of the ball after having to do just a little public speaking. What about that makes you think that her knowing everything at once will be any better. Michael's words drip with venom. They determine that they need to catch her up to speed on who she is and what her life was like before any of this happened. But instead of just telling Calliope in the safety of Lucifer's McMansion, they're going to take her to the fallen realm that Manny has destroyed, that Manny is from, that Manny currently controls, so that she can look at the journals of her predecessor and then ask questions about her past life if she needs to. Manny will be caught off guard because he won't be expecting her to go to the realm. That's why they say it's okay for them to take her. It's not like he's stalking her or anything, right? Obviously, Calliope wants Asmodeus to go with her, and so they all agree to this. Makes no sense when they literally just accused him of being a mole, but I guess they're not even sending a secondary to keep an eye on him. They just remind Calliope to not trust Asmodeus, then trust him with another job after he failed the first one. Purgatory is a wreck and covered in ash. The Purgatory is apparently where humans would have gone when they died, but with it destroyed, they now go to heaven or hell instead. I guess heaven and hell weren't an option until Purgatory was destroyed. The guy they run into some random guy named Heath, who pressures Asmodeus to tell Calliope about their past. Quote, "Tell her why," Heath demands. "I can't speak. All I can do is stare at Asmodeus and try not to imagine the horrors of Ast dying, even if I never did meet her." "Ali, I'm different now. I made mistakes. Please don't judge me for them," Asmodeus pleads desperately with me. "Back then, I did it for Manny. I was manipulated. Stop!" I say quickly, feeling tears well up in my eyes. I feel like I'm going to be sick, and I finally look away from him. All three of us stand in silence while I stare at the ground, trying to and failing to wrap my mind around all of this. "Calliope, please, talk to me." Asmodeus tries to get my attention, and I look up at him. I want to see the demon that I walked in the door with, the one who stood in front of Manny for me. Instead, when I looked into his eyes, I hear his father's warning to me and Michael saying he ruined Ast. I feel Heath's anger. I feel the tinge of fear, and it keeps me silent. "You should leave," Heath glares. Yeah, it doesn't get far. She says that she wants to know and keeps cutting him off at every turn. So Calliope has all of the power that Manny wants, a rare power to control neutrality, which is in the air. It's described as heaven controls light, hell creates darkness, Purgatory creates neutrality. What is that? It doesn't explain what it is. And so all that I imagine is, because we got light and darkness, is that neutrality looks like glitter glue, like the gray glitter glue. So it's kind of watery down, kind of gray, and then has the glitters in it. That's what I imagine controlling neutrality to look like. And we got, quote, "You're a lot like Ast." Heath shakes his head. "She always made excuses for him, right up to him killing her." "But he did it for Manny?" "Asmodeus killed Ast for Manny, yeah." "What happened after that?" "What do you mean?" "What did Asmodeus do after he killed her?" I turn back to Heath, who looks at me with pity. "It destroyed him until he got close to... Look, I'm never gonna forgive him. I don't think any of us will. I don't think that you should either." "What happened?" I repeat. I know that I'm not getting the full story, and I know that Sellafield won't urge me in Asmodeus's direction if there wasn't any good in him. If there's anyone who is actually looking out for me, it's Sal. "Manny tried to kill Asmodeus, likely to cover his tracks." Heath sounds like he doesn't want to tell me. He sounds bitter. "Sellafield was the only one willing to help him after that. He's always been on Asmodeus's side. Then you and Asmodeus got close, real close, before Michael took you to heaven." "I trust Sellafield. Thank you for telling me the truth, but I believe in second chances. Asmodeus tried to save me twice. I have to believe that there's good in him." So he just said that Asmodeus knew Calliope before Michael took her to heaven, which means that she's met him before, but previously she said she'd never met him before. So she either doesn't remember, so Michael erased her memories or something, or how did they get so close when she was in hell and knew Asmodeus? Because I also don't imagine that when Asmodeus killed Ast, that she was left in hell with him when she was reborn. Because is that not a perfect situation to groom her into whatever they need her to be after Asmodeus just killed? Like, I'm getting all sorts of new questions as I just sit here and go through this plot again. Like, what? Heath says that he is keeping an eye on Asmodeus, and if Asmodeus messes up, then he's going to tell Lucy and Michael, and they are going to go and get him. What is the point of any of this? That's the question. If they want to protect her and the realms, then they risk this because of some spoiled prince's fifis? Because that's what they're doing. They're just affirming Asmodeus's fifis, and then they're saying Salem was always on Asmodeus's side, and after Asmodeus killed Calliope the first time, Salem was still defending Asmodeus. Why? Unless they are a team. I can allow the idea of these two being a team and then trying to gaslight everybody, but I don't know if that is actually happening. Maybe instead of waiting around when Manny is out there trying to get you, you could learn to be a little bit proactive. Everybody could learn to be a little bit proactive. Calliope is in the library in Purgatory reading Ast's large amount of journals, apparently faster than they can be brought in. She's just... because Heath is slow or something. I don't know why these weren't destroyed when the entire rest of freaking Purgatory was destroyed again. What are the books in Purgatory made of? Are they radioactive retardant? Are they made of metal? Are they made of spam? It ends up just showing that there are fake stakes. She skips through giving any detail on any of the entries, not even having an emotional response to any of them if she's supposed to even have one, and we get, quote, "I'm worried that this will be the last book that I fill. Though there is so much that I still have to write, Asmodeus has grown too attached to me. But I can't let him down like everyone else has. Serving me keeps him out of trouble, and for once I finally see hope in him. However, I'm not the one who sees something in him. However, I'm not the only one who sees something in him. Manny has had his eyes on my boy for a long time. If my sweet boy can't break their relationship off, he's going to end up doing something that he'll regret." Somehow, Heath knew where all of these journals were, brought them to Callie, and this particular one he's never seen before. And she's found it. Also, what language are these written in? So we know that she probably reads some sort of angelic language. Does she read demonic language? We know she doesn't read any human language. So what is the language of Purgatory? And why would she know the language of Purgatory if they hid from her that she is Purgatorian? Unless they told her all the time that she needed to learn Purgatorian. But also in Purgatory, wouldn't you need to learn the human languages to be the ruler of Purgatory because Purgatory is the holder of humans? What language? That's the question. What language are these journals written in? And how is everyone in this so familiar and unfamiliar with everything at the same time? Callie just keeps saying that she'll give Asmodeus a chance when no one else will, but clearly everyone else is also giving him a chance by trusting him when they say to be cautious. Salem has never stopped giving Asmodeus a chance because he's a cuck, and she is also over here claiming to be extremely cautious person from the start, but then is defying everybody else's warnings about how she should be cautious. So she is not cautious at all. She doesn't even question what any of these people are telling her to do. Asmodeus comes in being an emo, saying there is no second chance for anybody. Then what the frick is this woman doing for you, bro? It's not cute. It's not funny to be emo. It's not endearing to be emo. You are disregarding and disrespecting the chances, the compassion, the grace that this woman is giving you. And you're telling her that it doesn't matter what she says or what she does. You're going to consider it not real no matter what. So why should she freaking bother? Because whether she helps you or not, you're going to say she's not helping you. There is such a thing. I get it. I know. There's such a thing as the low confidence, the low assurance. But making every single one of your characters a constant liar and constant self-doubt and then constantly being given stuff and then being like, but everybody hates me. You can do that with like one character and then have them be confronted with how wrong they are because they're delusional. But having every single character in here be like, nobody likes me. I'm so ugly. Nobody cares about me. And then everybody sacrifices everything for you. Asmodeus, your father started the war with heaven so that you wouldn't have to live in exile alone. And you think that nobody gives you a second chance? What about Salem, who risks everything trusting you this entire time and you're going to betray him a second time? I guess you don't care about your bro over there. This is the kind of stuff that pisses me off. It's like it takes 2 seconds to think about how your characters have relationships with other characters, how it affects how they relate to one another, how it affects how they talk to one another. And if Asmo is going to be low because he feels bad about killing her and he's upset that, of course, trust is broken with everybody else, bro, that is still your fault. You still killed somebody that you were supposed to keep safe, that you said that you were in love with, that other people trusted you with. You also, she was your mother figure, and you had an infidelous relationship with her. So, like, maybe play with some of these elements a little bit. All it takes is to think about how these choices affect your character instead of just smashing things together and saying they are everything all at once, biggest victim and most powerful, because there is no meaning when none of your character's actions matter. When everything is just woe is me, comforting affirmation, because they say nobody does this, just to have the response of other characters going, but you're the best, don't believe it. I'm sorry if that's mean, but like, Callie asks to take the journal with her, the one that nobody recognizes, and she's allowed to because she's the main character, ruler, but what's the difference, really? When Calliope continues to forgive Asmodeus of all of his transgressions before knowing them, Asmodeus asks to be called Calav. Calliope is confused by this and asks why he would want that, and he says because he prefers the name, and he has been trying to get other people to call him that, but no one does. Now, this exchange is extra silly because she has been reading Ast's journals. Asmodeus returns Calliope to heaven, they kiss, and then she goes inside where Michael is angry. There are more arbitrary arguments between Michael and Calliope about whether she should trust Asmodeus or not, and she does. Heath doesn't. Calliope is like, fine, then don't. And Heath is like, but I trust you. Calliope reiterates, I can trust him, you cannot, that's fine. None of it makes any sense, and if they really don't want to trust Asmodeus, then they shouldn't let her be around Asmodeus. Heath also argues that Calliope needs to be careful because if she gets stuff wrong, then the entire universe is going to be destroyed. She also continues to complain about why won't anyone tell her anything about what's going on, and they just tell her how important she is. While refusing to give her any information. No one in this story is acting like the universe is going to be destroyed, or else they would be keeping her away from Asmodeus and assuming Asmodeus is going to turn on her again. If you want me to believe that there are stakes to these choices, then you need to act like your choices matter and then have people work around each other, which is part of the puzzle of writing a story. Is character wants something, other characters don't want them to have something, that creates a conflict, and then the characters have to figure out a way to get what they want, whether it's by persuasion or sneaking or lying. Anything. People wanting different things that are opposed to one another is how you create conflict in a story. And it's okay to have characters be asshats. It's okay to have characters conflict with each other, even main characters. Freaking look at Bodymore Zero came out today, where Casey and Ralph drastically want different things, where Casey is threatening Ralph throughout to make sure that Ralph is in compliance, where Casey wants things that the universe doesn't want him to have, and he gets his ass handed to him for trying to defy that. You can have your characters get into arguments. Joey and Jag get into so many arguments, have so many conflicts because Joey is being an impulsive idiot for the majority of Bodymore. It's okay. You can fix it later. Michael and Calliope go back and forth for a while because she won't listen to Michael about the dangers and stupidity of what she's doing, but he also immediately calls her smart. Quote, I wasn't safe here last night surrounded by angels. Kalav was there and he made sure that I was safe. If he wanted me to get hurt, he could have let Manny kill me. Yeah? How do any of us know that he is still not working with Manny? Ast trusted to make the right decision, and she died for it. Letting him take you to Purgatory was stupid at best, but Lucifer insisted. Even Heath said that it wasn't all Cal's fault. He's trying. Do you think that because you're going to be a ruler, you don't have to listen to the rest of us anymore? No, but you need to back off and let me make my own decisions. If I'm wrong and I get hurt, that's on me. If you're wrong, you're not getting hurt, you're getting destroyed, and so is everything else Manny wants to destroy. Which is everything. Then you have to trust me. I do trust you. You're smart. I don't trust Asmodeus. Then don't. I'll tell you when I need help. He doesn't trust her. She's not smart. How does her responding with, then trust me, when he says, if you make the wrong decision, everything's getting destroyed. Then trust me. This entire conversation is about how you're making bad decisions. What? Quote, Michael considers me for a moment. I've never been this close to him long enough to see that he is tired and worn out like Heath looks. He stutters for a second, then sighs and rubs his forehead like I caused pain. All right, this is stupid, and I'm gonna say I told you so when it all blows up. But I'm not going to argue with you. I'd rather that you don't do this behind our backs if we can't keep you two away from each other. Thank you, I say. Michael only grumbles, not entirely in anger, and I can't help but smile. You just said, if she is an idiot, everything is destroyed. And you're just going to let her have her way? Imprison her! Make her try! Why is everybody just getting on their knees to say, yeah, just do it, queen? You know, we all think that it's a terrible idea. The world is going to end, but do it, queen. That tells you that there are no stakes. Nothing is going to happen. Everybody just exists to, like, make her look better. And they say they don't trust her, but they do trust her because they know nothing bad is going to happen ever. Calliope is supposed to be sleeping, but she can't and gets stuck thinking about the drama, so she decides to read Ast's journal to look for answers. This is where she learns that Asmodeus wanted to be called by a different name, and everyone else was mean about it. Quote, Asmodeus confided in me that he wanted to be known as Kalav now. I'm happy that he's trying to figure out on his own who he is, but no one else is supporting him. Gosh darn demons. Michael told him that we don't get the luxury of choosing who we are when he asked more publicly to use that name. I don't believe that Michael is right. So far, I'm the only one who uses Cal's new name. I fear that it may stay that way, and I'm worried that it'll make him act out. My poor boy only wants to be accepted, and I don't know how to help him. Okay, a couple of things here. Number one, you do choose who you are. Whether it's by choosing your name, your nickname, which some people do choose, some people don't choose. It depends on the virality of how you got your nickname. You do choose who you want to be, though. You go through events and you choose how you're going to react, and you choose the person that you want to be tomorrow. So there is that. By this saying you don't choose who you want to be, number one, I assume it's making some kind of argument about how, like, this guy is pretending, Michael is pretending that this has some bigger implications, that you don't choose who you're going to be, but you do. He might mean more like you don't get to choose if you get to ascend to the crown because that's your purpose, but you can choose who you are. So whatever metaphor it's trying to use here doesn't really work. The other thing is that it is manipulative, and, you know, whatever. I don't hold it above demons to be manipulative, but if he's like, I'm going to be a bad guy and I'm going to torture you and be a dick until you do as I say, and I'm going to act out unless you do as I say, that's abusive behavior. That's not something that you condone. You do not start behaving and doing what this person wants you to do because they threaten to be dicks and abusive until you conform to what their demands are. We don't play that game. Especially not with demons. Like, frick off. Michael is out here being like, you're a demon, I don't have to respect you. Suck it up, Asmodeus. As sees Asmodeus as a possible successor to her and thinks that Manny is possibly jealous of the child. Also, it says that Lucifer's mad about Asmodeus helping Ast, but he's not putting a stop to it, despite being the king of hell, which just means that Lucy has no power either. Secondary note, it's very strange for Michael to throw a fit about somebody changing their name when Bible stories have some famous name changes going on in them, including Saul turning into Paul as one of them. And then you get this, quote, Today, I had to do something that I'm not proud of. Poor Cal clung to me, and I never discouraged it. He told me today that he loved me, and I believe that he is confused as to what love is. He is a son to me, and I do love him and care about him, but I fear this rejection will make him more like his father in all the wrong ways. I've hurt him more than anyone else. Tragedy. That's all this was. I hope that I don't ruin these pages, but I can't stop from crying. We were all so peaceful, but Manny has changed himself, and Cal with him. He convinced Cal, and Cal was unloved and needed to demand respect that he would have no other way, and it all went too far. Kalav demanded counsel with God, and it did not go well. When he tried to convince him that he cared, he insisted that he did not, even me, and he threatened the humans because nothing is more loved than they are. I didn't think that he felt the same way as his father did about them, but there seems to be a lot I don't actually know about him. I tried to save him, but my voice wasn't enough. Lucifer, my friend, used the opportunity to start his own war in order to save his son from being alone in his punishment. I don't think anyone knew what it would become. With them, an entire third of heaven fell, relegated to hell. Michael was tasked with expelling the ranks of angels himself, and I tried to, you know what's weird about this? Is she mentions Michael later in the story. So this tells me that the story probably wasn't revised at all. But later in the story, you have Seliphel saying that he is the reason why heaven won the war against Lucifer, and that he was the most brutal angel that there was and had a good time torturing and killing other angels in the Holy War. And Ast does not mention Sellafiel once in these journal entries. How? Also, if Sellafiel was Asmodeus's number one guy this entire time, then why was Sellafiel out there murdering a bunch of angels when he agreed with Asmodeus this whole time? None of this makes any sense. Okay, the other thing that comes into this situation is pride and arrogance. Asmodeus is the son of Lucifer. Pretty sure that if he wants anything from the assumed god that Lucifer turned on, then he would need to humble himself and prove that he is not doing anything sketchy or, spreading allegiance, sinful something. But instead, he sounds like a brat here. If he wanted to ask God for something, he needed to bend on the knee. But he didn't. It was pride. He fell because of pride. The original sin. Lucy's sin, if you will. Also, what you are basically seeing here is that Asmodeus was the one who went against God and demanded followers, and then Lucy was just in there because he didn't want his son to suffer loneliness, so he started a war. I guess God isn't all-knowing in this case because... Or maybe God knew that Lucifer was like that, and if Lucifer was even defending his son in that way, then he deserved to be kicked out because he was obviously betraying the king of heaven for his son. Also, in Ast's journal, she blames herself for not doing enough to make Asmodeus feel loved so that he wouldn't start a war. It's in these same journals that we also learned that Heath from Purgatory, who had been handing Calliope these journals, was actually her previous incarnation's husband. So Ast was married to Heath, and that would have been nice to see in their interactions, like in some way at all. And Asmo can apparently remember the feelings that he had for Calliope, but Heath doesn't. Also, it makes me question if it's common for angels to be reborn, and if so, and it also begs the question if it's common for angels to be reborn, and if so, why haven't Heath or Asmodeus been looking desperately for her? Later, we will find out that when Asmodeus murdered Ast, Calliope was literally born right in front of him from her final wishes, so he knew where she was, but he just theoretically didn't ever go there because she says she never saw him. I headcanon that he was stalking her this entire time, but he was not allowed to talk to her. Otherwise, Michael would have scalped him. He acted like he did when he first saw her and took her to Cell because Manny found her. Not because anything else, but maybe he was just pretending. Anyway, we learned that Heath was her lover by these journal entries. Quote, "It is my hope this journal is never found. I should burn this cursed book. It would destroy Heath to know that I betrayed his love for me. Worse yet, it was Kalav I betrayed him with. I had only meant to talk to him, to tell him that I believe in him still, and I wanted him to embrace hope again. But the only thing that he embraced are his sins, his lust, and I forgot just how charming he can be. I forgot that he is no longer a child. This, too, is my fault. I failed him. He knows of no other way to seek love and connection, and I only made it worse. I will never forgive myself, and I shall take my secrets with me when I die. Oopsies! Comforting my son, he accidentally fell on his dick. How many times has that happened to you? She did not need to sleep with him to prove her love to her son. Also enjoy this contradiction, and Calliope rejects the similarities with Ast. Quote, "Despite avoiding fights whenever I can, I'm no pacifist. I am not as selfless as she was." I don't know if sleeping with your son is selfless, but I avoid fights whenever I can, but I'm not a pacifist. You're a pacifist, I'm pretty sure. Despite how she keeps saying how Asmodeus is insanely manipulative and slept with Ast when he manipulated her by using the word love, Calliope keeps saying that Manny is at fault for all of this and the bad things that happened. Just tell me, is it because Manny is ugly? Why does Asmodeus have no autonomy? Period. Like, in any of his actions. Is he manipulative? Was he able to go and confront God himself, or is he not actually at fault for the fall? Can he do no wrong? Quote, "No wonder Michael has been trying so hard to protect me from his brother. Everyone is burdened by their own baggage. So many things have gone wrong for them. Ast tried so hard, and at the center of it all seems to be Manny doing whatever he can to create chaos. He corrupted Cal. He killed Ast using Cal. He was behind the fall, and yet Ast still blamed herself for everything." So another thing that I have an issue with, I don't have an issue with demons that don't care about incest, because if anybody would approve of incest, it would be demons, right? They'd be like, That's part of family culture over here. But there's no angel judging this situation. Sellafiel doesn't judge the situation. Michael doesn't judge the situation. Gabriel doesn't judge the situation, which implies that all of them are totally chill with incest. So incest in the eyes of angels and demon culture is exactly the same, and that is that it is fine. That's part of something that makes it confusing. It's like I can get on board and ignore that demons do what demons do, but they all think that incest is fine? Or is that just another way of avoiding conflict? Because nobody who is in the main cast in this is actually allowed to conflict with anybody else and then have to deal with the outcome of that. And if you tell me that Asmodeus has no autonomy on himself, then it means that he couldn't have manipulated or been responsible for manipulating Ast into lust. But then she said that he was. So was she taking advantage of his inability to understand love? So then did she rape him? Is that what you want me to think? This is just the spaghetti that you make when you want to do bad things and have no accountability for yourself in any of the actions that you do. It's also the reason why, in these cases, you don't have these characters saying, I'm sorry, because they don't believe that they've actually done anything wrong. Everybody else is to blame for the evil that they do or for the fact that they are failing. Because we're going to constantly see and hear in a couple of different areas where it says, oh, actually, Callie, the reason that you have failed this far is because we have been purposefully holding you back, which means she doesn't have autonomy. And the only thing holding her back from being a successful person is other people sabotaging her in a giant conspiracy. So nobody is accountable for their own actions. Nobody can try beyond themselves, and if anything bad happens, it's probably not you. I guess Calliope finally falls asleep again, and she watches Michael cutting off Lucy and Asmo's wings. She goes over to Michael, Ast, and Asmodeus, all sharing a bed, bloodied, and her holding Asmodeus like a baby. Michael is sad that he did this to his little brother, and we get a line that encapsulates the pointlessness of the plot. Quote, as much as I dislike heaven, I couldn't imagine being exiled like the fallen were, left to gaze in at a home that they can't return to. Even though Lucifer does get to enter, I'm not sure it's the same. They do get to enter as party guests. They do get to enter as guests of other things. And she goes, he can't even return home, but I guess he does, but it just is different. You contradict yourself in the same sentence. What are the rules here? The dream then shifts into the library where she's talking to Ast and is told that they are the same person, or at least part of each other. Ast wants Calliope to tell her husband that she cheated on him so that he can work out his negative feelings for Asmodeus. So he's got these negative feelings for Asmodeus, even though he doesn't know that Asmodeus banged his wife. Maybe she could just stop ruining everyone else's life in her death, because what is the point of telling him at this point? You're gone. Ast also insists Calliope tell Michael the truth of whatever, because they all need to be on the same page to protect her. But I don't know what any of them are even doing. They just have her dangled around Asmodeus all of the time. So it doesn't matter. I also personally can't stand the trope of having random dream ghosts telling the main character everything, exactly what they need to do. Grady Hendrix did the same thing, but maybe it doesn't bother anyone else like it bothers me. It can be done well, sure, but I haven't had any good experiences with it recently. The last entry of the journal has Ast saying that she knows who her successor is, and no one has ever seen anyone like her before. Good luck to you, and take care of yourself, and also hopefully no one ever reads this journal entry. So if nobody is supposed to ever read this journal entry, why are you leaving your well wishes to whoever reads this journal entry? Just stop it. Sel then delivers Calliope to Michael to talk at first, and she tells Michael about the dream and then leaves him some of the journals to read. She runs into fangirls outside who know who she is, and they want to ask a bunch of questions about her. She gets nervous, thinking herself weak, and they ask if she is with Michael before he shows up and chases the girls away. They're both in disbelief about telling Heath Ast cheated on him, but whatever, it's what she wants, so it's what they're going to do. Then she also takes this opportunity to ask Michael why he refuses to call Asmodeus by his new name, and Michael says that it's what he's used to. Calliope says, well, he's a different person now, so you should call him by a different name. The time comes to find Heath in the Purgatory library. Calliope is liking the Purgatory now, and Heath is frowning for some reason when the woman who is his reincarnation of his dead wife walks in with the homewrecker that he hates. I don't get it. Nothing in this book makes any sense. He reads in the book that his wife cheated on him and then asks Calliope what he should do. Quote, why would she want me to read that now? His voice shakes and cracks, like he wants to stay calm and to talk to me. She never said anything when she was here. She told me that she didn't want me to keep her secrets. I stared at the journal for something to focus on while I speak. She wanted you to work through it before you saw Cal again. Her words. Does he know that she wrote about it? He still sounds like he's between furious and completely broken. Not yet. I look up. She's right. There can't be any more secrets. I'm interested in your point of view. He seems to just want the focus off him. You're the one who actually likes him. So you tell me, what am I supposed to do with this? Well, I take a deep breath and wonder why I'm the one who's supposed to have the answer. What would you do if Ast was here and she told you in person? I don't know. My question catches him off guard and removes him from his angry reaction to be mad at Kalav. Would you still love her? Of course, he says, like I'm crazy for asking. Would you want to leave her? No, never. She made a mistake, but he... Well, maybe if you'd still give her another chance, then you should honor her by giving Cal another chance. This was such a long time ago, and I don't think that he's proud of it. He's going to be around me either way, and I'm going to be around here. God, you sound just like her. He does seem calmer. Allie. I'm not saying I forgive him. I can't ever forgive him. He's taken everything away from me, and I still think that he's going to take you away too. I'm not asking you to forgive him. I force a smile to lighten the tension in the air. I just want to give him a chance to prove himself one way or another, like I am. Cuck fetish confirmed, but you would force this on a man even before you get his forgiveness, before you get anybody's trust on this matter. All the men in this just seem to be chill with the cucking, and it's encouraged by all of the women. Like, holy moly. Can we talk about the phrase, honor the adopted son who cucked you with your wife? She then harasses Heath to talk to Asmodeus like an adult, and he's like, fine, okay, and then walks her out of the place. Surprise, despite Heath being a human, he can leave Purgatory or Heaven or Hell whenever he wants to because he has learned how. Also, I guess Purgatory's ruler married a human. Why? How? Is that uncommon? What do the other supernaturals think of Purgatory's ruler marrying a human? Was that a scandal at the time? Could they make offspring? Can they make offspring in that way? Especially because we'll learn that Ast's power that Manny doesn't have is that she can create life. So as the ruler who can create life, could she create life with Manny? Could she create life in that way? Anyway, now she is back in hell, commenting on how it doesn't get that many visitors now. So I'm just like, where are all of the people going? When they die, they're supposed to go to Purgatory. Purgatory doesn't exist, and then hell doesn't get that many visitors. So are they all going to heaven? Just the highway to hell got an accident on crossing the lanes. She runs into some random cat boy named Danny who likes Asmodeus. The kid is gushing all over at Asmodeus and Calliope thinks, wow, this kid might be a kid, but he's not annoying like normal kids. She's delivered to Lucifer's mansion where she is looking for Asmodeus, but finds his brother Sai instead. Everyone loves Calliope, and Sai is talking about how Asmodeus gets away with all sorts of stuff, and Calliope needs to keep Asmodeus out of trouble. Maybe things will get better if she does. Also, word salad, quote, don't take it personally. He doesn't even like us. Maybe if you manage to keep the prodigal son from screwing up even more than he already has, he'll warm up to you. Prodigal? You mean Cal? Yeah, of course I mean him. Unless you're head over heels for any of our other brothers. He laughs at his own words. He causes a lot of trouble, especially with humans, but he gets yelled at and we all move on. He even goes to heaven, screws with you, and still gets zero discipline because he's perfect. He sounds intensely bitter, but the sentiment doesn't reach his eyes. He's not perfect. The amount of times that I've had to defend him in the last couple of days alone says that. He doesn't have as much slack as people seem to think. I couldn't get away with half of the crap he does. But I digress. Clearly he gets away with lots of crap because he stabbed this girl and he still gets to hang out with her. He gets to go to heaven even though he was cast. A holy war was started because he made demands of God and his father started a war with God so he wouldn't be exiled alone, and he still gets to go to heaven. What does it want me to believe here? He has all of these special privileges, but he doesn't. And he doesn't get in trouble, and like, no duh, people have words for it, but no one punishes Asmodeus. Sai steals the journal Calliope is carrying and reads it, and then worries about Asmodeus snapping and harming Calliope if he reads what's in it. She's shown into the house and doesn't question what Sai knows, thinking herself a disappointment, and then waits in the sitting room to show the diary. Why exactly would Asmodeus lose his mind over the fact that Ast wrote that they cheated with each other on her husband? The husband had more of a reason to be angry. Asmodeus was the infidelator. As she sits in the waiting room, Lucy opens the door, gets mad at seeing her alone there, and has Manny in the office with him. How is she not like, excuse me, what are you doing here? What is he doing here? Why are we here? I gotta go. I can't trust you. Lucifer lets Manny let himself out of the house, even though Manny is supposedly not trustworthy at all and wants to destroy all the realms, but who cares, I guess? And Callie is called into the office. You know, she needs to be a little bit more defensive about listening to anything Lucy says at this point, because obviously Lucy is having secret meetings with the enemy. Right now is the optimal time, in fact, to show that Callie is suspicious. No? Yes? No? Maybe? No. The answer is no. The dude is snapping at Callie for asking any questions whatsoever, and he says that he has made a deal with Manny so that he can't hurt Callie so long as she is in hell. Why not make a deal that he can't hurt anybody as long as she is in heaven? How come Manny has all of the powers that he can hurt anybody in any realm? It doesn't freaking matter. So there are no restrictions anywhere, I guess. They bicker about how she doesn't understand things, and they literally are not telling her anything, and she says that she is better than Ast because she is still alive, so screw that woman. I guess there is no honor for the dead either. For some reason, she agrees to keep Satan's secret about Manny being in this house and then leaves. Then she goes to meet Asmodeus and gives him the journal so that he can learn the truth and move on. It's not like Asmodeus doesn't know that he's a homewrecker. Let's be real. As Asmodeus reads, he swears and gets angry. Calliope is getting scared that he is going to attack her, and she thinks maybe dying at that party would have been better. She apologizes to him, which he says, never apologize again. And I don't know where this trope came from, but in real life and in stories, never apologizing does not mean that you did not do wrong. That's pride. If you do wrong someone, you need to acknowledge it and apologize for it, specifically if you want repentance. Never apologize is strictly ego, especially if you're talking in terms of you wronged somebody, but you refuse to apologize for it. Just because you say that you will never apologize does not mean that you have never wronged someone. And I don't know where it comes from, and I'm so sick of seeing it in these stories where somebody actually does wrong and they apologize, and the romantic partner is like, no, don't. No, they did. They need to apologize. And you need to say, it's okay, I accept. But they never do. They never do. They just pretend like the other person is perfect. Asmodeus holds back his anger and is like, please, don't be mad at me. I'm trying to change who I am. I'm trying to be better. And Callie is like, no, you're not. Your anger is just below the surface. You're not even trying, even though you're holding yourself back. That sounds like trying to me. He didn't even kick a wall. Asmodeus begs not to lose Callie again, and Callie says that she is not asked. Asmodeus is like, I know, but also you haven't changed that much. I need you. Please don't abandon me. I'll do better. And all Callie can say is, I hope so. Bro, you're feeding his unhealthy interest in you. Side note, no way this dude was not stalking her all of these years up since he is this obsessed with her. There is no way that he was not sneaking into heaven every single day to watch her from a light pole across the street from the library. And side note, now it's time to make the cuck and bull make up. That is Heath and Asmo, in case you needed some clarification on the cucks around here, because Sellafiel is also a cuck. Heath punches Asmo, ultimately agreeing to work with him, even if he can't forgive him. And I'm still not sure how it's Asmo's fault that she died, beyond him being manipulated by Manny, if he's not allowed to take responsibility for his actions. After that, they meet up with Michael and Sellafiel and argue over whether she is so powerful that she doesn't need protection or if Asmodeus is a risk to her safety. He says that he'd never hurt her. The story can't even acknowledge Asmodeus is a liability. The story can't even make Asmodeus acknowledge his accountability for the murder in the past and say he won't do it again. It just has to completely deny, 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 deny. It's not a redemption if you pretend it never happened. Asmodeus dares Sellafiel to say that he has feelings for Callie, and instead of being straightforward, he smacks Asmodeus a few times, telling him that he will never see Callie again if he hurts her. The end. She's supposed to be training with Asmodeus, and she's super jelly of any attention that he gets from any of his fans or anybody else, even though none of them have any chances with her. Side note, jealousy isn't cute, it's just insecurity. And there is a strong difference between somebody being defensive of their partner because their partner is possibly in danger and somebody being jealous. Jealousy is not cute. Brought back to the office again to be asked by Lucy, Michael, and some others what she's learned while training with Asmo, we get, quote, Ollie. Michael starts. You've had a little bit of time and we're hopeful that you've used it to your advantage. Why don't you start telling us what you've been able to learn from Asmodeus, specifically things that you've gleaned about being an effective ruler? Don't die? I shrug, but neither look happy with the answer. I don't know what makes a good ruler, and I have less interest in it now than ever. So, I don't know what they were expecting. Don't stage a coup and lead a third of a realm into a giant tantrum against God? So she's got nothing. She's been doing what now and has nothing to show for it. They didn't even come up with a cover story. Then you tell me what I'm supposed to do. I snap, looking from him to Michael. Ast hasn't been any help. She didn't write a how-to for being a decent ruler. All she did at the end of the day was write about her mistakes and her regrets. She didn't want to be a ruler, and neither do I. You'd think that in her book, when she's talking about good luck, I know who's going to be my next ruler, she would leave information for her next ruler because she knew and she wanted the best for that person. No one will tell her anything, even her previous self, who told her to take care of herself in a journal, wrote nothing. And now we also find out that Callie hates humans. No interest in leading Purgatory because of it. Maybe it's just time to shut the door on that whole project or let somebody else lead the realm who actually wants to leave the realm. There must be other rulers who can, or somebody that you can just say, good luck, it can't be worse than it already is, right? She demands that Satan show her how to be someone that other rulers love so much that they will die for her if she is supposed to do this. That is a pretty hefty demand. Maybe start by not being a little brat. She could... Although Asmodeus's relationship is not good, they all agree to let her stay around with him if it makes her happy while they work on other ways to protect her from... I don't know what Manny, but Manny is pretty docile most of the time. Lucy's gonna show her how to somehow use her powers on something, letting her shadow him or whatever, but instead of behaving herself like she wants people to die for her, she dresses up in yucky human clothes specifically to annoy Lucy, not to ingratiate herself in any way, and as if Lucy isn't a rule breaker by default for what he's done. Now she is just bickering with everyone as if she doesn't need their help. Doesn't matter, they all comply with her anyway because this is peak wish fulfillment, and I guess for this exercise they are going to go to Earth to tell the human counterpart, the human ruler, about her new position because he didn't get to come to the party and hasn't been informed of her rulership yet. Callie judges human and Earth as inferior. When Lucy questions if she is learning anything with Asmodeus, she mentally admits to doing nothing with him but sleeping with him because that's where her only interest is. She curses herself for not being nicer to Lucifer since he probably won't help her now and as a mentor, and then she teleports to Earth where she knows what cars are because they have them on some realms of heaven because some humans like them, but she's never seen one. So I guess she avoids the human neighborhoods in heaven. Calliope might be a little bit of a racist, okay? As they walk, we find out that they're in Reno, Nevada, and Callie is disgusted by all the gross people that she sees. And she also calls humans stupid, giving this book an ego complex. Quote, humans are stupid. I huff. This doesn't make any sense. The main layers of heaven and hell are fairly small, and we don't gloat about that. Look, don't try to make sense of them. You don't need to understand them to rule them. You'll only hurt yourself. Trust me, it's funny. I open my mouth to retort, but he interrupts me. That wasn't a slight against you. Humans are complicated and annoying. Like you. Well, that was a slight. let's just get this over with and go home. So the whole thing was a slight. Like, Lucy, as she's wandering around, you see that she not only despises humans, but has no idea what anything on Earth is. What has she learned in all of her... What have they tried to train her for to become the Purgatory leadership? Because she doesn't like humans, doesn't know human languages, doesn't know human culture, doesn't like anything about humans. You would think that some of that would be part of her training to prepare her for her future role. Maybe that's why she hasn't developed her power yet, because she needs exposure. She also has no idea what a wedding chapel is, when theoretically marriage relates to God and a chapel is a church. She's just in this brave new world, meaning she hates humans arbitrarily, but has no idea what most of it is. As she walks around, she realizes that Earth is like heaven, hell, and purgatory after all. Quote, all in all, their lives here seem so interesting. Their clothes, the smells are all mixing together. It's not that bad as I get more used to it, and it's not totally different from the realms that I am used to. So what exactly is the differences between heaven, hell, and Earth and purgatory? Lucy takes her to a casino and she doesn't know what that is. She's never been in one, never been interested in one. And then he offers her money so that she can play the slots. She jumps on it. Also notes that he's being super nice to her and it's weird and she's just now getting along with it. He takes her into an elevator and she doesn't know what it is either. She falls on him when it starts moving up and then she's like, I am not blushing right now, baka, as she clings to his arm. At this moment, did Asmodeus seduce her, or is she just got a thing for demons and just wasn't interested in Heath, but married him anyway? Because we didn't really see in any of Ast's books either any affection towards Heath, so I don't even know how they ended up married. I don't even know why they ended up married, because what's the benefit of that? They're not making babies. They're not in love with each other. So why... And who were Ast's previous ruler buddies? Because the story says that when you're a ruler, you can choose up to 5 other people to co-rule with you. So a harem? The top floor of this casino is a restaurant, and Lucy introduces Callie as the new Ast to someone named Arlan. While sitting with this guy, Callie just keeps insulting him while having no idea about anything because he's just a stupid human who couldn't possibly understand the intricacies of the universe that she knows. Manny shows up, and because it's not hell, he can attack her and Lucy. So great job on Lucy bringing her here when the treaty doesn't extend here. Also, what the heck did they even agree to behind closed doors? He seems more powerful than everyone. Callie decides that she is going to fight, and Manny is OP on her. Quote, how about no? The look in his eyes is animalistic, primal, and all too excited about hurting me. He leans in close, his breath reeking of death and decay as he licks the blood off my face with glee. No. Yeah, now you're afraid I can taste it in you. I'm going to enjoy every minute it takes to break you. He smiles against my cheek as he speaks. I want you to fight back for a long time, Calliope. I want to watch you lose hope. Randomly, last minute, Lucy comes out of nowhere. They get back to hell. Persephone greets them, saying that Calliope saved Lucifer. So apparently Persephone is dating Lucifer. And I don't know where this is coming from, where the lore is trying to put itself together. I'm trying to make sense of it, but there's nothing that I can do. After she leaves, Lucifer begs Calliope not to tell anyone that they're seeing each other because she is just too good to be involved with him and doesn't want her to get in trouble. Why not just, I don't know, they show no intimacy, and why don't they just, like, not show intimacy in front of each other? Because they didn't need to embrace or hug. They could have just pretended to not really know each other instead of putting on a show for Calliope to watch, because that's what they did. Funny how Lucy is now begging for Calliope's mercy while also saying another too good woman is involved with demons. The fact that he's got to beg Calliope means that he doesn't trust her to just be a good angel or whatever she is supposed to be. He doesn't trust the goodwill of her heart. Lucy says that he owes her for saving his life. She says, no, you don't. Getting back into the Polaris Rising thing where everybody owes the main character. The powers above Callie are arguing about training her so that she's ready because Manny is dangerous and obviously hanging around. So she goes off to train again with Asmodeus, despite how every time they've sent her off with Asmodeus, she's come back knowing nothing new. and just making jokes by being rude. Calliope sees more Ast memories before Asmodeus convinces her to come with him to a secret place on Earth. He says, don't worry about it. Manny won't find us because no one knows that we're going, which should tell you that he's probably a mole because he keeps outing things to the guy that he works for. He's worked for before. If the guy's not coming, then that means it's probably Asmodeus who is outing them. Here, he throws himself at her again and again, and she is so anxious and worried about everything. He's getting physical with her, and she is too nervous and asks him to stop. She's surprised that he does, and he says, don't feel bad, it's fine. We can do whatever you want, princess. Calliope thinks of why she likes Asmodeus so much. Quote, as his arm pulls me closer and his fingers run over my skin, I realize that's what I've been needing. I just need to feel safe again, close to someone who isn't afraid to care about me, someone who would do anything for me, who would stop when I say and wait where I ask them to. And that's him. More than a distraction, he's the only one that doesn't make me feel like I'm disappointing and helpless. I feel like even just for one person, I'm enough as I am. Practicing her magic, Calliope is out here telling Heath that she doesn't have feelings for Asmodeus, and the whole exchange is, well, imagine cucking your husband with your adopted son, getting murdered by said adopted son, and then your reincarnation is going again for that same son that killed you the last time with your cucked widow, and they go, if he breaks your heart, I'd punch him. Asmodeus comes in and says Calliope needs to use her feelings to learn how to use neutrality. She's sitting around thinking about those feelings and how to use her feelings to unlock her powers. Quote, feelings? What feelings, though? Which one will make me produce neutrality? What was I feeling the first time I did it? At the party, I was feeling scared, obviously. I didn't want everyone to know something I was only barely knew about myself, something that I still don't even really understand. That's why I ran. What else? Cal, being there for me, the kiss, the sex. I don't know how to describe that feeling. Not love. I don't think that I feel that for him, but being intimate unlocked a new set of fears for me. The fear of needing him, that someone could make me feel that way, and the fear of losing it. So she's obsessing about sex here. Quote, I can't control the powers that I've been created with. I can't even face the thought of being intimate with Cal again because of my fear of feelings like that ever again. Or worse, not feeling it ever again. She learns how to make a shield. The neutrality eats her. No one has seen this kind of powers or darkness inside somebody before. So this choose the immortal beings of all time, then did a reincarnation of a previous girl, and then going, we've never seen this before, and your previous self was the most powerful ever. That's an insanely weak story to me. This kind of book doesn't really know how to do tension unless everything is absolutely brand new and the new girl is better than the past girl, who is already better than everybody else to begin with. The stacking of better than the other girl is the story, and the other girl had to die so this one could live is also really tiring for me. She ends up falling asleep in Cal's arms after thinking about how much she can hurt him and how the power she has have made her so tired that the darkness has hurt her eyes, like looking at the darkness has hurt her eyes. When she wakes up, Michael is there and he's mad at her for not coming back to heaven and demands that Asmodeus bring her back after they do what they're going to do, like ASAP, because though he is demanding that she come back, he is still cognizant that she has other things she needs to do, and so he is not that determined to get her back very quickly. But they heavy get into, I want to make you feel like a queen. Calliope is horny and scared to have more sex, so they just heavy pet and flirt, and then they go back and forth with flirting and consent talk, and Asmodeus just wanting to exist beside her. It feels very personal. Calliope is afraid of him from the way that he lashed out, but is also really thirsty for sex and doesn't know what to do about these feelings when she is very unsure about it. The next morning, Asmodeus and Calliope leave the room, and she is impressed to see Lucifer dressed down, not in a suit, and calls it more human passing, as if humans don't wear suits, I guess. She's out here admiring how Lucy and Asmodeus look so much alike with their charming smiles and their charming selves that she's gonna get a daddy-son harem going on here. Is that gonna be part 2? He takes her into the office and then tells her a big secret about Heaven's golden boy, because their trauma of fighting Manny on Earth has made them closer or something. And Lucy is very impressed at how Calliope fought Manny, and he is not that easily impressed. But He is impressed by this special one. Lucy compliments her on all of the great things that she has done, has about her, and says that her powers make her kind of impulsively stupid. And all she takes away is, quote, is any of that supposed to be a compliment? I can't help taking it personally that he lists my shortcomings so easily. Is he supposed to have a difficult time listing your shortcomings? Also, can Callie be gracious or humble for like 2 seconds? Or is she always demanding and full of herself to the point that you're not allowed to say anything critical of her? Doesn't matter. Everyone's just going to tell her how amazing she is anytime, anywhere, all the time. And if they're not, she's going to snap at them and then they'll say, I'm sorry, because that's all that they're good for. Further complimenting her is saying that she'll stand her ground when she knows that she's going to lose. And I don't know, I think that a tactical retreat to figure out a different approach so how you can win might actually be better than standing your ground even in the face of knowing that you're going to lose. We also find out the details of the deal Lucy made with Manny. Quote, this does not leave office, little ruler. Do you understand? He doesn't want to fight with anyone but you. He wants subjects, loyal ones. So I offered him a deal that he could not refuse. He cannot enter hell without permission, and he cannot harm you while you're here, and in exchange, hell will not challenge him in the event that you lose. I had hoped the majority of the time would be spent here, given that your unfortunate attraction to my idiot son, and thankfully it is mostly worked. I can't control what happens to you in the other realms, but while you're here, I can keep him from getting to you. Until he breaks the deal, let's be real. Also consider power scaling your baddies so your main character isn't the only one who can beat them. We also learn that the rulers have helpers for their realms. Quote, the high rulers can also choose from their realms to help them. There are usually 5 rulers for each of the realms under the highest. The difference is you have no one to truly choose from. So it stands to reason that you might choose from any realm for beings to help you. I don't know why we haven't met Lucifer's helpers yet, or Heaven's helpers, or why none of them were mentioned previously before halfway through the book. I'm also not sure if this makes any sense, but whatever. We're told that Ast picked no one to help her, which again speaks to ego, but she did marry Heath. Did she not ask him to co-rule with her? He just married her? Why was she resistant to assistance, especially when she knew that she was down to be assassinated? Maybe make some allies. Maybe you deserved to die. Not trying to be callous here, but I know this book has a penchant for cows, so maybe I should be callous. She is told to pick people to trust who can make decisions in her best interest, and if she's incapacitated. Of course, her first pick is the guy who killed her previous incarnation. Most bizarre when this book started out with Lucy saying, don't trust my son, and he doesn't even push back against that choice. I'm just wondering if we can get through a single book that's not just people bullshit lying for drama's sake, but actually believing what they say and following through in their behavior. The reasoning goes, quote, and you are okay with me choosing him because in the very short time I've seen you together, I've watched you both defend each other in the stupidest ways possible. There is something about you that keeps my son absolutely at your mercy, and the kind of devotion can be an immense assist to you. He's going to get her killed. To balance out Asmodeus's stupidity, she picks Heath, husband of the previous self, the man that she cheated on with Asmo. Yeah, make the cuck and the bull co-owners, co-rulers together. That can't possibly turn out bad. Lucy explains why he is helping Callie now. Quote, Calliope, aside from being a future ruler and a powerful one at that, you have become somebody I am quite fond of. It is in my best interest to help you because I enjoy you. You could have fooled me. I haven't forgotten the fights that we had. I'll admit, I am not forthcoming with the affection. That doesn't mean that it would not be painful to lose someone as lovely as you. So, is this officially the forming of the family harem? Because she tells Asmodeus that she wants him to be her king along with Heath, and he's like, you're nuts, and he's also like, BT dubs, I'm DTR, which is down to rule. Returning to Heath in Purgatory, he's quiet until he's not, and he's going, who are the sorry saps that are going to be helping you rule this shithole, huh? Detroit of the afterlife? Heath has no signs that he ever really cared about Calliope or asked the previous version of hers. I don't know. It's so painful. And he feels like a stand-in character for something else, somebody else, considering how everyone else fawns over her except for him, and that's her ex-husband. The announcement goes over well, and Heath actually agrees to be a co-ruler without being against it, and Calliope sleeps well in Purgatory, and everybody is proud of her. They all clap. They return to heaven, like Michael said, and then even he is proud of her, and she is overwhelmed by everything and cries and breaks down, and Michael holds her, telling her that it is all going to be okay. As Michael sees Calliope in her sleeping place, he says, quote, "I'm glad that you're still here." "Me too." "I'm sure that you know Ast was. She was like our mother, Asmodeus and I. We miss her dearly, but I'm glad that you are here now. We will all do whatever we can to protect you. We should have protected her." What happened to Lilith? Where was their actual mother that Calliope's previous Ast had to be the mother? And they don't have the same feelings for their freaking mother. Where is Lilith's reincarnation? Is Calliope the only one that can reborn? She is then afterwards in the library with Salalaphil and starts crying again because Salalaphil is the perfect one. And he's like, "Let me help you, little love," and walks her away. Quote, "I don't argue. I follow him to the sofa under the stained glass window that depicts Lucifer's fall. It was always my favorite, but now for different reasons. It's no longer some sad cautionary tale. Now it's a reminder of what Lucifer was and still is prepared to do to protect the family." Again, why is there literal iconography of Lucy's betrayal? And why are there still angels in heaven who idolize this man? If you are going to break assumed traditional lore, then you need to write it into the story to show the rules in which we are going by. It makes zero sense why heaven would have shrines to this betrayer. Sel apologizes for slapping Asmodeus and that he was just worried about upsetting Calliope this whole time, so he gave her space, and that's why he hadn't been talking to her. But he really cares about her, and there's more praise of Calliope being the greatest thing ever. Quote, "You're stuck with me forever." "Good, because I can't do without you." "You're doing just fine without me. You're so smart and so talented, Calliope. I'm proud of you. This is always what we wanted to happen, and you were always meant for more than this." He then says that the only reason that she ever failed is because there is a conspiracy against her and everybody was sabotaging her success. So she'll be fine now since she is amazing, and they're all going to step back and stop sabotaging her. She has a bad dream where she is chained to a wall, bleeding, and all of her friends are just watching and laughing, and Asmodeus is whipping her for some martyrdom fetish. Quote, "He throws the whip to the side with a laugh and kneels in front of me, and I look into his eyes to see if my prince, my sweet, damned prince, is still there somewhere, and find only black voids where the most beautiful green ones had shined on me. I close my eyes tight and silently cry in anticipation of what is next in his bid to torture and break me." It's that kind of line that makes it feel like a fetish. She wakes up and then she goes to do her announcements for everyone, and everyone is talking about her again and not including her, playing more into this idea that all of her failings are just because other people are getting involved and are not letting her get involved in this purpose. They're also all forcing her into this position of authority while at the same time stating how she is unstable, unable to use her powers, and if she crosses this line, they won't be able to bring her back because she is too powerful. She is just so lost in her own head, and she's not listening to what anybody is saying about this plan, and then getting mad that nobody is telling her things like she's a child. Quote, "Sorry," I sigh. "He and Lucifer share a worried look before Michael readjusts to readdress me." I wasn't listening. "Lucifer was saying, in a few days you can use your main square in hell for your announcement. By hell's traditions, it would be more of a coronation with a ceremony. What do you think of that?" Michael watches me like he's worried that I'm going to break. If he were going to be worried, then I'd have preferred that he be worried before throwing me headfirst into this living nightmare. He could have told me at one point about me and the real history of the realms, but I guess it was just easier for everyone else to forget about me in the library. Make me Salafield's problem until even that was inconvenient, then forget about him too. Yeah, that's fine. Would it matter if it weren't? If you think it's too soon, I said it's fine! I snap and stand, unable to hold the boiling point of rage inside of me when they insist on treating me like a fragile child. I heard everything that you said, and you won't stop talking to me like I'm not even here. And I don't know why you're all of a sudden so worried about me being stressed out, as if I have any choice in any of this but being stressed out. I never had a choice. None of you ever gave me a choice. Why not now? Why start now? Just plan everything for me and then tell me when to show up. If I'm not dead by then and not such a fucking problem for everyone anymore. She just said she was hearing everybody talk about her. In the top of this quote, she said she wasn't listening. But at the top of this quote, she said she wasn't listening. Maybe this is why they don't involve you in leadership stuff, bro. You're a child. You're a literal child. She attacks them, runs off, and monologues about how she was born into nothing, while they are literally saying that she was born into greatness and they just kept her back. She thinks about how much she hates humans, so why would she even want to do any of this? Quote, it isn't until I'm across the broken stairs that I finally stop fuming and internally raging and take a pause to just stand in silence of neutrality. It floats effortlessly around me, absolutely affected by me or my emotions. I know that it wasn't always like this here. I know that it used to look the way that Earth looks, feel the way that it feels, but that's almost worse. Humans and their realm are awful. Why would I want to make this place the way that it used to be for them? I don't want to perpetually rule over a copy of a place where I have only felt pain and fear. She truly is undeserving of the responsibility she has been handed. If she doesn't like humans, doesn't like anything, what drives her? Is it just sex? Because that's all that her and Ast seem to have wanted, and she hates everything else. This character has no drive, no morals, stands around, gets pushed around, is hateful of everyone and everything, and is only self-serving. Who cares about Callie? How is she the greatest thing ever? She wanders around Purgatory, thinking about how pretty the waterfall on Earth was, and so maybe things are nice and they're not going to be so bad, but she's afraid of everyone and everything and doesn't want these responsibilities, but she is going to have to change if she wants to survive because little her has all of these things now. She gets back to wherever the others are and, quote, I don't try to be quiet, but no one hears me come in. They are all in serious conversation. Against my better judgment, I stop behind a bookshelf to listen. As I have come to expect, I'm listening to a conversation about me, while they say things that they would never say to my face. When she comes back, we have to be nothing but supportive. Michael sounds shaken, scared, like me. I've never seen her like this. Maybe I should get Sellafield here to help? He knows her better than anyone. He'll know what to say. If he knows her better than anyone, then why is he not somebody that is assigned to her? Instead, they're letting, her assassin be assigned to her as her bodyguard. Great planning there. So everyone is now walking on eggshells around Calliope, recognizing if they don't affirm her, she'll have violent outbursts, and they worry about her becoming just like Manny. So what I'm getting here is that Calliope is the worst version of Empress Teresa, because at least Teresa loved people and was trying to create world peace, even if she went about it the wrong way. Here we just have an OP that everyone is afraid of destroying the world and who hates everything anyway, so what's stopping her? She walks in and hate how they all look at her and fear, quote, I've never felt smaller than I do now, watching them all stare at me with no reaction. This is worse than the feelings of rage and fear. I don't want them to look at me like I'll blow up at any minute. I don't want any of them to look at me like they're afraid of me. I'm not a monster. I'm not Manny. Immediately after this, Callie's still being judgy and arrogant, quote, clearly, we do. Lucifer says, and though he sounds like his usual commanding, demanding, pretentious self, there is sympathy there, too. What the fuck is wrong with you? Which this shows that she doesn't mean anything that she says about being sorry. She admits that she's scared but won't tell anybody why other than she lacks control. She rejects Asmodeus trying to understand her, and she's blaming him for what he did in the dreams. She says that she doesn't understand why everyone talks about how great it is to be with him, but she just feels scared. And why are things different for her? Why is anything different for her at all? Lucifer tells her that they'll prep her for the coronation. Showing off her powers of neutrality will help her gain respect from the other rulers and creatures of the realm. Does she need respect, though? Why is she in need of Hell's respect? Why isn't she just going to her realm to rule and earning respect by showing she's a good ruler? That would make sense, right? She makes up with everyone, and Asmodeus says no hard feelings, but he's been through worse. So the way that she treated him is fine. Don't you worry about it. Calliope is like, oh my goodness, like, what is this? Everybody is just so nice. Her and Asmodeus make up fully, and he says that he'll be patient with her, and she doesn't understand why he'd choose her. Quote, I don't have a response. I have no idea how to even process this. I had a thought that maybe someday after everything was over and calm, I would seriously pursue him. But love? I don't know what to do with that. How can he love me? Me! I'm barely competent at existing, let alone being a ruler, and forget being anything like a good ruler. What makes him think that I'm even an option when he has the universe to choose from? Maybe she should recognize that she is a ruler and has all of these powers, and also she chose him to be king of Purgatory, so maybe that's why he chose her. But also, if you are acting like this when you choose somebody, then you shouldn't be getting feelings involved, period, because you're not ready to be in a relationship. If you think that you're not good enough for your partner and you keep acting like this, then you're probably not ready to be in a partnership, because you can't be in a partnership when you're this kind of arrogant. And then you'll constantly use it against the other person to make them grovel, to make them feed your ego. And we've seen that, and it's not healthy. So all of this is a kind of an empty double back that I get it wants to make her insecure, but it's impossible to buy into for a story for her to choose him. And then when he chooses her back, she's like, he doesn't mean it though. She's already chosen him to be her ruler at his side. And she's like, I still can't, like, I'm not sure though. I was going to pursue him, but I wasn't going to pursue him seriously. So he's just your fling daddy. He throws all of his feelings at her, and she goes, quote, I don't know if I love you. I can feel my eyes stinging with tears, even though I don't feel like I can actually cry anymore today. I like you a lot, but I'm not asking you to love me, he says quickly. I'm asking you to let me love you until you decide. If you ever do, I would never think of forcing that on you. What if I never love you? I want you to be happy. I don't care what that means for me as long as I can see you smile. Cucked again. Nothing matters but affirming her and how she'll use other people to affirm herself and her feelings. Immediately after this, she goes, quote, Cal, catching my breath is the hardest thing that I ever done. Do you really love me? You're not just saying that? I do. I love you. Promise me that you'll never let me go, Jack. Cal. Vulnerable is not something that I've been willing to be, but it's something that I trust him with now. It's something that I can let him carry for me. You've been vulnerable multiple times throughout the story, including passed out. I'm just saying. And again, Calliope is proving that she sees other people as tools to affirm her feelings, which is not unlike a shallow kind of man who might see a woman as only an object for him to come in, and not an actual person who deserves baseline of respect, decency, and consideration. This is how she is treating men, but for her feelings to be affirmed instead of her genitals. So this ends with Calliope saying that she feels safe around Asmodeus, that she will never leave this place of safety again, and they have sex. They wake up, decide that they can't be carnal all day, and Asmodeus tells Calliope that Manny killed Lilith. What's Lilith have to do with anything? We don't know yet. It hasn't been introduced. They talk about going back to Earth, but bringing Lucy, so fewer people get mad, because at least they're bringing other people in on their boundary breaking. Why go to Earth when it's dangerous? Don't know. They visit Lucy. Sel is there with him. She's apparently just wanting to go to Earth to show Manny that she's not afraid, so it's just a dick on the table move, and Lucy agrees, quote, if you freak out while we're there, I won't be gentle with you. I'll drag you back here until you calm down. I won't have you acting out like you did in Purgatory. Lucifer watches me as he speaks. In another life, I may have taken extreme offense to his words, but now I can see that he's right. Right to be worried, and right to promise that kind of response. This is a child's mindset. Literally, she's mad about the idea that he'll turn the car around if she throws a fit. They get back to Reno, where Callie looks over where the fight with Manny happened, and it's like a trauma tourism. And she says that she hates how much Lucy cared about her, because no one should care that much about her. Quote, I wouldn't put someone else in danger to protect myself. I'm not that dark. I'm not that selfish. I couldn't hurt anyone who didn't deserve it. She's very selfish. She just uses other people to tell her that she's not, so she doesn't have to evaluate herself. Also, there's more fetish victimization as they ask her to go play by play of what Manny said. Quote, "He said something to you," Lucifer says. "The look on your face was awful. What did he say?" He licked the blood off my face and he said, I choke on the words as they come out hoarse and dry, that he was going to enjoy breaking me, that my pain was artwork. It's sad that he wanted to ruin me. She says that she doesn't understand how someone can be as evil as Manny before immediately saying that she is just like Manny and she wants to hurt people that she cared about and liked. Everyone assures her that she will not become a monster like Manny. I don't know. I don't know why she thinks that she would, unless Ast was a monster, and that's actually why Asmo killed Ast, and it wasn't a betrayal. So now we are meeting the other rulers, and Heath decided not to come because he'd be intimidated around other celestial beings, as if this would be the first time. You telling me that Ast never introduced Heath to anybody? How long were they even married? That's a thing that this book has in common with Polaris Rising and with Camp Damascus, is none of them have any sense of time. So you don't know sense of time passage. It just kind of throws events at you, but you don't have a way to measure how long it's been or what any of the relationships between these characters are based on how long they have known each other or not known each other or been in the positions that they are in. This is also the first time that we are getting any real name of the rulers or any real recommendation of the rulers. Previously, the only time that other rulers were mentioned was when Lucifer mentioned it to Calliope, when Lucifer mentioned it to Calliope so that she could pick Heath and Asmodeus as her co-rulers. So this is what they're talking about. You would think that Lucifer would have had the other rulers of hell around as soon as Calliope was staying there, and also with Manny there, or, you know, the other rulers would be there to be in discussion with Lucifer before they tried to strike the deal with Manny, and that maybe with Michael there would have been other rulers talking. We know that Celefel is a ruler, and it doesn't mean it's not describing if there are like other layers of heaven and hell. It's just like, or what they're rulers of specifically. It's just this vague idea of rulership. And again, it just ends up feeling like Fae, but calling them angels and demons instead, because it really doesn't matter. The only thing to note here is that there is a demon named Belial. It introduces a couple, but they are all forgettable and don't really matter. The one to remember is Belial, who is described as having the mark of the traitor, and it stumped Calliope for how he is able to be here with the other rulers, which, yeah, why don't Lucy and Asmodeus have the marks of traitors when they betrayed heaven? Why don't all of the fallen have the marks of the traitors for betraying heaven? And what's the point of it if he's still freeballing with the unmarked? It's so stupid. And we're going to learn later that the marked of the betrayer actually comes from betraying Manny. And the only reason he has the arc of the betrayer, he says, and this is if we believe him because he could be lying, is because Manny told him to kill Calliope, or to kill Ast, sorry. And he told Manny no, and then he tried to stop Asmodeus from killing Ast, and that didn't work. So Manny cursed Belial for betraying him as a way to scare Asmodeus into doing what he was supposed to do and not betraying him. But if that's the case, then all of them that don't have the mark of the betrayer could all be in league with Manny, because none of them are cursed except for him. So if that story is true, they shouldn't be believing anybody, especially not Lucifer, who's been privately meeting with Manny, could implicate him on Manny's team. Apparently, the whole thing now is about getting her the best shot at being a ruler, and how everyone in the universe believes in her, even if they've never met her before. I guess it really was just all of the entire realms working against her for no apparent reason, and the winds have shifted, so now she's going to be successful. And that could have been an actual interesting story. I'm not saying that conspiracy couldn't work. And one of the ways that it could have been more interesting is if this story was about how belief can change and how you believe in yourself or try in yourself when other people do. But that's not what this is. Kind of makes me think of the Diary of the Half Indian, where he talked about when he left the reservation, it was at the mostly white school where the teachers and the coaches and everybody actually believed in him. And because the coaches and the teachers believed in him, Junior actually wanted to try and then was very successful at playing basketball. But it was such a different experience for him because on the reservation, people kept discouraging him and telling him, you know, you're never going to escape and you're never going to be anything. And he went to that school and was expecting everybody to just hate him and to be racist. But it was the most encouraging circumstance that he had ever been in. And it changed his outlook, at least for a little bit. The first thing they all do is ask about the scars on her face that Manny gave her when he squeezed her head in Reno and said that he wanted to ruin her. Gabriel questions her co-ruler choices, and she thinks about how she wants to punch him for questioning her. A really par the course for how this character either throws a tantrum or uses violence to get what she wants, and against anyone who questions her. Lucy also asks why she always fights Manny when he shows up, and she says she doesn't know. It's just instinctually the right thing to do, so she does it. She ran away when... this is completely forgetting that she ran away when he was in the library in the first chapter. It's not really the truth of her behavior. It's just she has been given the opportunity to be that way in later chapters. One of the demons wants to talk to Callie privately. It is Belial, and Persephone randomly shows up to say that the other realms don't want to offer their support to Callie, but she does. I don't know who those other realms are. Probably Hades? Probably, I don't know. Are the leaders from the other realms not here? Did all the angels and demons just say that everybody was behind her? Did they mean the first ring of realms was all behind her, which is heaven, hell, and purgatory? I don't know. Who is Persephone there even representing? Also, you have Persephone and Lucy pretending to not know each other in this scene because apparently they just can't. This book constantly has the same thing for and against Callie at the same time, which means it has no definable antagonist because it doesn't even know who the antagonist is other than Manny. And then it says Manny is the antagonist, but the antagonist isn't doing anything like ever. Gabriel actually questions the choice of Asmo because he knows that despite Callie's lies, she picked him because she is sleeping with him, and Callie is mad about being called out. Gabriel isn't wrong though, and Callie is getting angry about it and just makes it look worse. She wants to beat Gabriel up for questioning her, but she also knows that she can't because she has all these witnesses when she's trying to convince them all that she is competent. You get this dumpster fire of a reply though. Quote, "Do you believe the rest of us to be blind? Even the high rulers must have seen what was going on. You turned heaven's first warrior into a librarian. Do you believe the rest of us to be blind? Even the high rulers must have seen what was going on. You turned heaven's first warrior into a librarian, then made him useless when you abandoned him. And what for? So you can make the slut prince who wasn't hugged enough as a child? To see if you can fix him? I'm tired of watching the realms be thrown into chaos because a spoiled, entitled being is putting carnal desires and love before the needs of everyone else. She doesn't love me," Cal says coolly as he comes to my side. "How could she? Knowing what she knows about me, I'm not here because of trivial feelings, Gabriel. I'm here because I would do anything for Calliope to earn a second chance, and she is giving it to me. It's not my fault that you have nothing better to do than obsess over what may or may not be happening privately." So they're trying to tell Gabriel that he's wrong while also confirming that he's actually right. Calliope does have her Yas Queen moment just then. "Let me talk!" I never used this tone before. I don't know where it comes from. I sound commanding and they obey me. Even Gabriel looks at me with mild interest. "Cellophane is my best friend. We've never had feelings for each other, and he is still willing to help me in addition to his duties here because he understands the kind of help that I need. Help that you never offered me." I fight back tears of anxiety and resentment as I stare Gabriel down. Asmodeus has a past with Manny, yeah, and he used that to help me prepare for what I have to face. No one else could do that. He has been at my side, and he has helped me become stronger. He's been supportive and kind and a good friend to me, and guess what? He's right. I don't love him. I trust him to protect me, and that's the end of it. I'm not going to put up with this anymore. Asmodeus Calav is not going anywhere. Everyone needs to get over their feelings about it because it's not going to change. He's staying with me. Deal with it or don't. I don't care anymore. I am Purgatory's ruler and I don't need your permission to do shit. Gabriel stands in silence while I refuse to be the one to break eye contact. I feel all eyes on me, but they don't matter. They aren't the ones trying to say that the only reason I'm close to Seller Cal is because of some imagined relationship. He doesn't get to look at me and reduce me to that, to discredit what I've done. He doesn't get to define me. I do that, only me, and I define myself as higher. And I am prepared to fight an insane wannabe god. I am preparing to die doing it. She is so arrogant. Number one, can you imagine that Cal, Asmodeus, has been alone in a room with you and has said, I love you, and you're owning to somebody else as, he's right, I don't love him. He still loves you. Whether you love him or not, he is devotedly saying he is in love with you and will fight for you even if you never love him. Number two, you get to define yourself, sure, but you don't get to define yourself for other people. And it's insanely arrogant to say, and I define myself higher than everybody else. Cool. And I define you as arrogant. And all of this is just lying straight to Gabriel's face because she doesn't want to admit that these guys have feelings for her and devotion, and she just doesn't. She's stringing them both along. Everyone then fights with Gabriel to simp for Callie, the liar, and she is excused so that they can continue to fight on her behalf, so she doesn't have to be there to fight on her behalf. Asmo says that he'll love her forever, even if she ends up hating him. This man is wearing his cuckoldry like a badge of honor. No matter how much you hate me, Callie, you will always have my devotion. Forever. So Lucy and Michael come back from the meeting saying that Gabe was wrong, glad that she kept her cool, and that Sel punched Gabriel in the face. So everyone else is fighting. Calliope's fights for her exactly as she wanted, and she's done nothing, and everyone against her is just straight up evil. Her and Callie are both interested in the dude's sinner eyes, and the dude also fought beside Lucy, yet Lucy got away with very little punishment. Obviously, like I said, his sinner eyes are not from the fight with heaven, they're from the fight with Manny. Belial, which is another personification name of the devil, mind you, gets there, takes Callie into the office, tells her not to trust Asmodeus, and that he's got cursed eyes for betraying Manny. This is where that comes up, when Manny had ordered him to kill Ast. He was an example for Asmodeus to follow if he didn't want to be cursed. Now, what else that curse does, I don't really know, because obviously Belial is still a ruler in hell. He doesn't seem to be missing any powers. He doesn't seem to be considered anything lesser. He just has all black eyes. The other question was, does this mean that he can't enter purgatory? Should there be some other sort of disability that happened because of those eyes? We don't know. There's no definition of what the traitor eyes mean, other than they make them black, like the stereotypical demon thing. Nobody is even shunning him. And at this point, she should at least be suspicious of everybody that doesn't have demon eyes, especially since Asmodeus went along with Manny. She dismisses all of the red flags with, quote, there is some weight to the accusations from those around us, and Belial doesn't ease any of those concerns. Cal not being marked a traitor surely means something, but maybe all it means is that he hasn't been close enough to Manny to be marked. Cal has thrown himself between Manny and me so many times that I can't believe that Sellafiel would defend him and urge us together if Cal were a danger to me. To believe that all of us are better than our mistakes. I have to believe Cal when he says that he loves me. I trust Calav. The words come out of my mouth as easily as breathing. He would never hurt me, and if you can change, so can he. You don't think that maybe Manny hasn't cursed him if he can just do that because he is working for him? And she is called out on admitting that she didn't love him, but then she goes, I could though. So she says, I love him though. And the guy is like, but do you actually love him? And she's like, well, no, but I could. So she's sitting here lying to justify her partnership with this guy, or to her defense of this guy, and then is called out, and then she's like making excuses again, and all she does is lie. And you keep defending him and pulling him in and refusing him all the same. It's at this point with Callie, it's just cruelty. Every time she talks about any of these other people, it's cruelty. Callie talks about how great it is to sleep beside and with Asmo again. Asmo and her are still having nightmares, and he's covering his scars, and she feels bad for it, the scars on his back. And also, I think, scars that Manny gave him. Time for a demon/party coronation. Still worried about Manny randomly showing up, but there's more fear about public speaking than of dying and Manny using her powers to destroy all the realms. The announcing of herself and being the center of the coronation are much more nerve-wracking to her. A lot of time is spent not actually doing anything, but just thinking about the same how special she is, but how powerless she is at the same time. Asmo is clearly there to escort her, replacing whoever her traditional escort would be. They run into the cat boy Danny at the coronation and tell him that he can stand in front of the crowd with all of the other important people. It's here that we learn cats go to hell apparently, because it's explained that he was a library cat who died in a fire, and then he spent so much time around Asmo that he became a demon. But something is off about Asmodeus. Callie thinks that he sounds sad. She's so insecure that he's so insecure that he says when she goes up to introduce herself, they'll love her. And she's like, more than you do? Bro. He keeps devoting himself to you again and again and again, and you keep making him affirm how much he loves you. Well, you say you don't care about him. He affirms her again, saying yes, he cares about her so much and he'll never stop, and then kisses her. This lays it on so thick with, I can't believe I ever doubted you. Callie takes to the stage to say that she's not going to restore Purgatory because mistakes were made and it was destroyed. She's going to restore Purgatory and open it to all to come, not just humans. And I'm confused. What the frick is Purgatory even supposed to be at this point? There's no definition of heaven or hell or Purgatory or what their differences are, and they just all kind of live amongst each other, which again makes it fake. Is it not a holding place for the dead for humans, a waiting place for whatever judgment or reincarnation? And it has been said before that Manny wanted her powers to destroy all of the realms. So why is she now insulting Purgatory, saying that it was destroyed for serving humans? I guess it's because he destroyed it because he was jealous of the humans. But she's saying that it was destroyed because it was specifically for the humans. When that was just Manny being jealous, which now he wants to destroy all the realms, because I would make it more so because the humans are in the other realms, but you know, what's really happening is she hates humans and wants to annihilate the human population here by letting demons and angels into the human space. Quote, the last time someone ruled over Purgatory, it ended in pain and devastation. I sound much more sure of myself than I am. My voice carries farther than I thought it would. I've seen for myself the scars left in the heart of everyone affected, and I take a deep breath, knowing the kind of reaction this is going to cause, and also knowing that it's the right thing to do. I do not intend to restore Purgatory at all because of this. The statement creates a wave of whispered dissent, not only from the crowd, but from the rulers behind me as well. I took a risk of not telling anyone, but I know this is better. I take a deep breath and hold myself upright, so I appear to know what the hell I'm talking about. True peace can't be achieved through making the same mistakes over and over, and I refuse to repeat a plan that clearly didn't work. So I am taking this opportunity to promise that Purgatory will be better this time, safer, and what it should have been from the beginning. It is going to be a realm open to all, not just humans, and I'm promising this not only to be the future inhabitants of Purgatory, but also to those lost trying to preserve it. I'm going to be better and keep learning, and I'm going to do my best. As for Manny, I've fought him twice already and lost, and I'm not afraid to defend the realms against him. It shocks me a little when the crowd erupts into applause and cheers in my favor. I know that I sounded confident, but they can't see my knees shaking through the heavy fabric of the dress clenched in my fists. So what if the plan before actually made a Purgatory get destroyed? Because it was just Manny's anger, Manny's jealousy at humans, and Purgatory being a place for humans that got it destroyed. It wasn't because it was closed-bordered to angels and demons. And how is letting demons into Purgatory going to make it safer? Like, I need answers for this. What does she think she's doing? She also goes, I'm not going to restore it. I'm going to restore it. They're also applauding her because she's fought and lost twice. But yeah, I digress. Lucy calls her a true selfless ally for Hell for putting herself between him and Manny. And she will always have Hell's assistance. There's more applause erupting. So much applause that it's comical. Manny randomly shows up, as you would expect, and people get between him and Callie, who is flashing the end of her life. whose life is flashing before her eyes. I thought that there was this deal that Manny couldn't attack in hell. Oh well, I guess that was just another lie told by the story to force it to be longer than it needs to be. Manny offers to rule beside Callie so that he doesn't have to keep messing up her pretty face. Why not just say killing her, since previously your entire thing was killing her? Oh, because clearly he never intended to kill her, and this has just been about torturing her. Why didn't he pick up this baby, have Asmodeus have brought back baby Callie to him so that he could have groomed baby Callie to be his co-ruler, and then she could have broken out of that or whatever and had to fight him, and he could have been trying to hunt her down, and she could have sought refuge in the library. You know, something that would have made sense. But whatever. Callie falls into the fountain, suddenly attacked probably by Manny and sinking, and then passes out and thinks that she is dying. An inner voice tells her that she is not ready to die yet. She wakes up in Lucy's house. Persephone has healed her, and the Catboy, don't worry, there's been no damage. And every ruler, in fact, is now behind Callie. Now, does that count those of the realms that Persephone has mentioned before were not behind? I don't know, because previously it's established that all realms does not actually mean all realms. But she is being reported that no one opposes her and everyone wants revenge on whoever let Manny into hell. The Catboy wants to be involved in making Callie's life better, so he is assigned the job of just making sure she is never sad. Here's your man-child servant. The universe just bows down to Callie at every turn. Lucy talks to her about using her powers with her emotions, and she is scared of being angry, but she's still encouraged to do it. She joins everyone else, and they all miss her. Asmo says, "I love you," and they're all preparing to train her and fight Manny later. In Purgatory, with Danny restoring things, showing Danny the library, Cell is coming for a visit, and they're just hanging out in the library, and it just feels like fan fiction, saying how much they like each other, slice of life. How is she not in danger of Manny in freaking Purgatory? I don't know. As they hang out, we learn that humans can choose to go back to Earth whenever they like. Quote, "I miss Earth. It was so much simpler. None of this crazy stuff. I miss television. So go back. Live another human life. Who's stopping you?" Cal shrugs. "You'd be back before anyone missed you." I don't know. I don't know where or when I'd go. It's messy no matter what. There's always something going on, plus the dying part. Yes, fighting the evil. Yes, fighting the first evil in creation for the fate of every existing realm is not messy. Definitely stay here. Cal rolls his eyes, getting a sarcastic eyebrow raise from Heath. There is more praise given here to Cell, even though she says everything she's accomplished has been an accident. Cell and Callie exchange more encouragement. Cell is still trusting Asmodeus, saying that he needs another chance because Manny is just so evil and manipulative, and Asmodeus is a good boy deep down, like for real, for real. Visiting Michael, more praise is heaped on to Callie, and she talks about how much Asmodeus loves her and dotes on her and asks if she loves him too. And she's like, "Well, I don't know about that, but I like him a lot." Compare that to the last scene where she said that she gets all this comfort from him and she's telling, some of the other angels that she loves him. She's both not committing with what feels like the book trying to lie to us about setting this up to betray her, but also not actually being fully invested in him because he's going to betray her and the book knows. It's stupid, and I hate her every time she's like, "I love you," to his face, only to later go, "But I don't know, man," to everybody else. She's stringing Asmodeus along, and maybe that's her point. It feels disingenuous to me for the character choice, though. Michael says that Manny will enjoy the next fight the stronger she gets. There's literally no reason Manny shouldn't be relentlessly attacking her right now if he wants to subjugate her. He's attacked at the coronation and then disappeared and let her heal instead of just consuming her. It's arbitrary and it's dragging the story out for no reason. It shows that there is no drive between any of this. It is just existing to exist. Michael assures her again for the millionth time that everybody is on her side. Callie is then in Purgatory Library with Asmodeus. Again, they're fawning over each other dramatically. She says that she's finally ready to say the words when they're interrupted by Belial raging in this room against Asmodeus for how he put Callie in danger. Why is he here? Why is he bursting into this room when clearly intimacy has been happening? And how did they know that they were here? Why isn't Manny here if Belial knows that they're here? Then, unprompted, Asmodeus And then unprompted, Belial accuses Asmodeus of letting Manny into hell, saying that he is a traitor. Where is the buildup for this? Where is the discovery for this? Where is anything for this? And why didn't he open with that? Asmodeus says that he was working with Manny to throw him off, but he does love her, like for real, and he can fix everything that's been wrong. Please, she loses it, wants him to suffer, doesn't trust that he stopped things from being worse, as that's what he claims. He was working with Manny to stop things from being worse than they could have been, and then claps Asmo's cheeks with neutrality. She's so angry, she's beating him to death. Salelafiel pulls her off and apologizes for pushing her and Asmo together, because how could he have known that the guy who betrayed before and killed Ast would do it all over again? There's no way that he could have known. Manny randomly shows up again, hot now, because Callie is noticing, and she is crying about how everything was taken from her, but this reads like a forced-in dramatic shot than anything of menacing, since all of her friends are alive, and she has the support of the universe. All she lost was her 9-to-5 job at the library, and Selafel is over here being like, let's just go home, walk away from this, we don't have to deal with this guy. Doesn't really make any sense. He's been stalking her for how long now? Selafel offering that just shows, again, how the story has no teeth, the characters have no teeth, and Manny is just, what is he really? There's back and forth conversation that doesn't really make any sense, with Manny being like, give me your power. No one but me cares about you. Sel is saying, don't listen to him. He's going to corrupt you. There's a pointless argument about who cares the most about her. Her being worked up results in her hurting Salelafiel with her powers. Manny keeps going and saying, I'll be your friend. And she lets Manny help her up as the only person left around her. I don't know where Belial even went or why no one else is in that library with her, because Belial was just there. And I'm sure, Heath was just there. So I don't know where and I don't know why there wouldn't be other people in Purgatory when she's fixing it up when they know that he is hunting her. And then I don't really know what happens. Somehow she gets away from Manny, because that last chapter ends with him putting a hand out and saying, let me help you, and then helps her up. She takes the hand. And then we open to the next chapter where she's running down the street, heading for the library in heaven for safety. So somehow, she was with Manny. We don't really know what happened. It actually feels like a chapter was cut out here with the way that it just skips to her suddenly running down the streets to get to the library, saying that she's going to be safe. And then she goes into the library and Selafel is there. And the last thing we know about Selafel is that he was in Purgatory when she was attacked by Manny. So what happened? What did we miss? Didn't he just get blasted? Because this is the last time we heard of Selafel in the last chapter when the fight was going down. Quote, stop! A flash of lightning and thunder that blinds and deafens me momentarily silences both of them. I'm crying before I register why. My hearing is replaced by a high-pitched squeal, and I'm shaking, sitting on the wet ground as rain dampens my clothes and hair. Selafel lies motionless in front of me, blood painted over his hands and body, already being washed away by rain. And now he's just perfectly fine in the library that she is going into, and he is surprised to see her. She ends up passing out in his arms. He's crying all over her. She says that she has gotten all that she wanted, which was her seeing him again, I guess. And then she wakes up in Asmodeus's bedroom in hell again. Why isn't she being taken to Sel's house? Why is it always going to hell? Because you might be like, well, there's the deal between hell and Manny. Clearly, that doesn't matter, because he just attacked them while they were in hell. So whatever agreement he thought that they had, they don't really had. And why do they keep putting him in Asmodeus's room when Asmodeus is a traitor? They promise her that she shouldn't be safer than anywhere in hell, despite how many times Manny has come there and in Asmodeus the traitor's room, not some other place. She screams at Asmodeus because not only is she in his room, but he is standing right there along with Michael and Lucifer and Selafel. And so he eventually leaves because she keeps berating him and screaming at him. Pride wounded. He's not feeling sorry. It's just the pride. And Callie is right about the betrayal. And yet this room is full of angels who brought her into a room of this predator. Whatever. I wish that these characters would at least act like they believed what they were saying, and no one is being punished. It was in a previous scene where they said they wanted the most severe crime for whoever allowed Manny into hell. You know who it is, and he's standing right there not being punished. She wakes up again with Asmo holding her now, and she is sobbing and screaming about how he's complicit in her torture, same as Manny is. I don't know what that means. We didn't even see a torture anywhere. They're still surrounded by the other angels who are still just letting this happen and taking orders from Asmo as he screams at them to go and get towels or something. Asmo tries to get sympathy before Cell takes Callie to the bathtub. Cellophil bathes Callie. He says that he was a feared angel who helped defend heaven during the Battle of the Fall, and he used to solve all things with violence. Everyone was worried if Callie was going to become a bad person after Ast died. I don't know why they would assume that if she was going to be Ast's reincarnation, and what the likelihood of a reincarnation having a completely different heart than the previous version. But because they feared that she would be born evil, he volunteered to watch her in case he needed to do something about her, but then he fell for her because of her carefree and happy ways, which we never saw. From page 1, she was judgmental and anxious, so anxious that she wasn't even willing to go to the party. At the very least, this book could have been revised to have her be excited to go to the party in the evening and to have her be very personable, to have her greet Manny when he was in the library at first and just be kind of not mentally aware that she even should be scared because she is just friendly. And then that could have shown this idea of her being friendly and carefree, but instead she is freaked out all the time. She has talked about being nervous all the time. Even in the last scene at the coronation, her legs were shaky because she was scared. When she was getting prepared for the coronation, she was scared. So that it doesn't work. Cell says that he became a non-monster just for her, though. She's taken to see Lucy, who says that he sees her as a daughter. Lucy literally says, quote, "Is there anything that I can do to make you feel safer or help you in any way?" And Callie is just over here saying that she doesn't think anyone else can ever understand or has ever lived through the kind of trauma that she has been through. Just nobody can understand. No one can possibly suffer as much as she has. Even Lucy says that Callie's nightmares are worse than anyone's nightmares ever, even Asmo's, despite how Asmodeus has literally been through more than Callie. Lucy holds her and says, quote, "I'll never say this again, Allie, but I love you. But I truly love you, as if you were a daughter of mine that I always wanted. I'll do anything to help put you back together. Just tell me what you need, and I will do it for you. Now, go to bed. Get some rest, and we'll try to make tomorrow better, whatever that means I have to do." Which I guess confirms love incest, since he pushed his son and daughter together. Which, whatever, demons are gonna boink siblings and mothers, but I just don't know what to make of this when Lucy is the devil and Manny is the bad guy, but incest is wincest on this. The angels don't even question it when they're around, and they don't think it's weird, so apparently it's not just demon culture. Lucy kisses her on the head and holds her until she is ready to go. Outside the office, Asmodeus is standing and he says that he'll get a room ready for Calliope, and she's actually offended that he would get her a room separate from him so she doesn't have to share a bed with him, the traitor, when she had just been screaming at him, quote, If you want to stay, I made up one of the empty rooms for you." Again, Cal avoids looking me in the eye. I wish that he wouldn't. I wish that he would look at me like he still thought that there was hope for him, even if there may not be. Oh, but was there something wrong with your room? I can't help but feel both a little hurt and a little afraid of being made to sleep in a different unfamiliar room alone. The idea of waking up out of these nightmares somewhere I don't know makes me want to gag. Cal glances at his dad before he almost, but not quite, looks at me. No, of course not. I didn't think that you would want to be there, so Can you just act normal around me? I can't deal with whatever this is, and I'm not going to give you permission to treat me like a child. I have to choke down the urge to cry. I want my old life back. I don't want to be treated like I'll break. I don't want Cal groveling. I don't want to be afraid to sleep. She does want Cal groveling. Let's be honest, for like 5 seconds in our life here, Calliope. And you cannot pretend that you were hurt by this guy and then be like, "Please sleep beside me in my most vulnerable position." There is no trauma response here, just continually forcing them together, people being considerate, her getting mad at that consideration and then crying, pretending that she's traumatized while laying in the bed with her abuser, that they all said that they would hurt if that person hurt her. But everybody is letting it happen again. Calliope is irrational and cruel, and really it looks like she only wants Asmodeus around to be cruel to him as punishment for how she feels. Quote, "How many chances do you need before you do the right thing? I start crying out of hurt and exasperation and the desperate longing for our stupid relationship back. How many have you had now?" "Too many." He looks like he wants to try and comfort me, even though I'm yelling at him, and I wish that you would, even though I know that I'd push him away. I'd hit him, I'd insult him and berate him. I still want him to make an effort. I still want him to try. How am I supposed to forgive you? I sob openly. Tell me why I still love you, even though I hate you. Tell me why you had to do this. Dysfunction abounds as she screams at him and he grovels at her that he'll do anything. She says, "I hate you," and instead of taking that as a leave, he grabs her, holds her against him, and she sobs. She continues to say that she is suffering immensely, that no one can help her, and she wants to love and forgive Asmodeus, but doesn't know how to trust him again. She's having waking nightmares now, and everyone around her just exists to serve her as she cries in agony. Quote, "I don't know what I'm supposed to do." Cal rests his head on the top of mine. "I have nothing to add, nothing to make either of them feel better, and I can't even make myself feel better, and none of that should be on me to begin with. All you can do is what the rest of us are doing. Love her." Eventually, she is dreaming of Ast visiting her, and here again we find out that the only reason she is failing is because Ast was keeping information from her that could maybe help her succeed. Quote, "I was waiting for you to be strong enough. It is clear that no one else can or will end this for good." She frowns. "Come on. I won't let you wake up until we're done." We walk past the many, many doors in silence before she finally stops in front of one. "Manny and I were created together before anything else existed. We were experiments for God. He had no idea what he was doing when he made us, and he ended up making us too much like him. Does that make the two of you? Being a god wasn't for me, but yes, we are also gods." Ast gives me a small smile. "When our God started creating other things, Manny felt slighted. He wanted to be enough on his own, and he couldn't see how great the new things were. He was selfish. When we were given Purgatory so that we could rule over the humans, Manny reached his breaking point. Then this happened." Should be noted that this uses the capital G for these people, which means that this book doesn't recognize God with a capital G as a name, when it should be, because this is actually using them as a noun. Also, is this going to explain where God went? Did he create these people bounce out of embarrassment for what he was looking at? As Asta is talking about how Lilith had children with everyone, Callie wonders, which again, it's just like, if everyone is everyone's child of Lilith, a bunch of half-siblings are actually probably banging each other. Callie wonders if she would ever be loved enough to have a statue of herself somewhere. Totally appropriate thought to be made by normal people. That when you're, hearing about somebody's history, you're like, I wonder if I can get a statue. Oh yeah, and that Manny got mad because he felt better than humans and didn't want to be a leader of Purgatory, which is why he destroyed it. Ast was fine being a leader of Purgatory, and why did she even need to pick somebody to pick up after her if she knew the only way that she would die is if somebody was going to assassinate her? So she didn't need to pick up a follow-up leader. It would have been co-rulers like Calliope has, but they said that she didn't want co-leaders for some reason. All of the other realms have co-rulers, but not Ast for some reason. And you would think at least Heath could have been Ast's co-ruler, right? Because that was her husband. So then who the frick is Heath? What does Heath do? Why was he even there? He wasn't a co-ruler. I don't understand. Now Lilith got angry and slapped Manny for his attempt to corrupt her son. Manny kills her, and she then sees that Asmodeus sided with Manny because he was so jealous that God paid attention to the humans and not to him. So he wanted to eradicate all humans to get God's attention. God wasn't even daddy. Lucy was daddy. God would be granddaddy. So why does he even care as much as he does? The next memory is watching Asmodeus kill Ast. It's like there's no other variation in this. Manny hates God for giving too much attention to the humans. Asmodeus hates God for giving too much attention to the humans. Lilith and Ast got Lilith and Ast are basically the same thing because they both were killed by Manny, and they were both mad at Manny targeting Asmodeus. So I don't know why they both exist. They're redundant. The next memory is watching Asmodeus kill Ast. He watches her reborn as Calliope, which then, turns into him pursuing Calliope for sex again. So why wasn't Calliope delivered straight to Manny when this rebirth happened right in front of Asmodeus? This, like I said, it could have made her into a grooming victim for Manny. That would have made sense. Ast says that she has all the power to create life where Manny does not, but it doesn't explain what power Manny has that Ast did not have, that Callie does not have, so they're two combined for Purgatory. I don't know. She hoped that Callie could live a better life than she did, whatever that means. So does that mean that she let herself die? I don't know. Ast assures Callie that she is stronger than she has any rights to be, and that she can do this. And I'm just going to remind us how much I hate that phrase. When Callie wakes up, Sel kisses her, and she says that they are best friends. She makes up with Asmodeus as he begs for forgiveness again, saying that he will worship her as his god just please take him back. The groveling is over the top here. Callie gets off on the idea of this dude groveling to her and says that, okay, you can prove your loyalties. The cat boy Danny also likes Sel now. She's eavesdropping again to hear Asmodeus and Cellophale going back and forth about who has to watch her. Cellophale goes back in, and Callie confronts him about how he's been cold for however long between her waking up has been. They say that they have feelings for each other, and she jumps off Asmodeus's orbit and into Celophile's. Why would anyone even think that she wouldn't cuck them? Because they go then and lay down in his bed, and I'm pretty sure they have a make-out session at the very least. At the library, Manny kills Danny the Catboy, and Callie wants to fight Manny in heaven, defying everyone, saying, please don't go, you're not ready yet. But she's like, I'm not going to let him do any more evil. Asmo grabs a hold of her, kisses her. This is after she's admitted her feelings to Cellophale and gotten with Cellophale, so again, we're cucked, and asks her to say that she loves him even if she doesn't, even if it's a lie. No one is going with her to help, I guess, because she told them not to. In heaven, the showdown starts with Manny. They also eventually get to Reno because it mentions the whales in Reno again. Michael and the others help her. She gets stabbed anyway. She beats Manny, thinks about life before she passes out, with the title of the book being the last line of the book. And that is something so lovely. Now, a couple of my final notes here that are outside of the plot. Giving Calliope every convenient weakness and every convenient strength, it just felt like bad writing. They didn't affect her, and she had everything. She had literally everything at her fingertips. The obsession with sex and loneliness immediately at the beginning made her read shallow and not like an angel. And that's not to say, like, I know people can go ahead and take that as something to mean something because of the way that sex is viewed. But you need to set a culture for angels and demons, and what is the assumption of the culture of this religion that you are basing this on? And is the culture of this religion then just open sexual relationships? If that is, then how is it different than demons? Like, you've got angels openly hooking up with demons. So it's just, I don't understand. And if you're leaving me to go off of what is generic Christian assumption of rules because you didn't describe it, it doesn't work. And that's where my basis is coming off. The missing/useless god trope immediately happened, which usually suggests that there is an anger in the book toward God, and he never shows up. Also, the fact that the main baddie is named Emmanuel is also a sign of an anger towards God in the narrative. Another trope that I don't like is things are thrust upon the female main character who is doing absolutely nothing, who has no autonomy, and is simply dragged around just to go with it. This indicates a lack of control, not unlike Mike in Lawn Boy. Things just happen, and you can only react, maybe, in this case. Calliope just goes with everything and doesn't even react, and there's barely any hesitation at all. all. She doesn't think that she can do anything and doesn't even try to stand up against anything or be proactive. She doesn't even try to undermine anybody. Asmodeus is obsessed with her from the very first moment and won't leave her alone. It makes you wonder if he wasn't stalking her all of these years. That would have been an interesting thing to bring up, and how he knew all of these things about her, if that was even written into it. There were so many opportunities for stronger world building in this, and all you have to do is ask questions and then answer the questions and how this functions. And that's usually what breaks a lot of books for me, is me going, but how does this work functionally? What also bothers me when people are using angels and demons specifically, and unless you're rewriting the mythology entirely, in which case you need to start giving us information and how to not use it like the Christian would expect us to use it, you're going to need to explain how Lucifer and demons are used, but never question on whether they are lying. One of Satan's names is the Great Deceiver. So why are people raised in angel culture never questioning whether demons are devious? It removes any possible tension there could be or should be, because there's constantly just trust between angels and demons all the time. Why? While characters having things happen to them can be an interesting plot about an action or things happening, it's not all that interesting if it's just wish fulfillment. Forgiveness isn't a thing if you don't know someone's transgression. Asking for forgiveness means nothing if you don't acknowledge how you have wronged others. How is the Queen of Purgatory married to a human who, as she despises humans as much as she does? Quotes like this make me feel like I'm reading fetishization of trauma. Quote, I squeeze back and give him the first genuine smile since my face and soul were scarred by trauma and fate. Wonder if trauma and fate are the cousins of pain and panic. Interesting to note that the book had Calliope get more powerful / work on her neutrality, not by the power of love or affection, but by how horny it made her to think about Asmodeus. There's literally no plot here. It's just hanging around talking about loving and affirming the main character for 400 pages with Manny randomly showing up to intervene, but it's mostly just them doing whatever they want until it's time to throw Manny in, pretending that there is attention. Casual references to sex and conversation to make people roll their eyes in disgust while you're just going tee-hee are immature. And to force that on people to participate in is immature. We have no idea of what the passage of time is, how long it has been since Ast died, and I hadn't realized or thought that Ast died before the fall of heaven, or that Lilith was around before the fall of heaven, because first they got rid of Lilith, and then it looks like Asmodeus moved to Ast being his mommy figure because his mother died during the fall, but Ast was there the whole time to be his mother figure, and that's when Manny moved to her. But then I don't know how old any of these characters are purported to be, how long it's been since Callie was reborn, how long they've been waiting for her powers to awaken. We don't really have any idea. Then there's a point where Calliope just found Cell reading human book of fiction. Not only is there a question of how she would know it's fiction by looking at the outside of it, but she also can't read any human languages, so she literally wouldn't even know what she was looking at. So there were a lot of these little details throughout that it's like, you're constantly stepping on your own story with this. And there were times when I would start reading and my brain would just shut off because there are too many contradictions in such a short amount of time. But that is something so lovely. My recommendation in general is constantly be asking the logic behind the choices in your world building. How does this look for the character holding it? What knowledge do they have? Could they do something? What could they do if they can't do that? And how does that affect the greater world? And the same with when you're looking at world building items that are larger than that, understand how that affects things that do not happen on the page, because the information that you create in your world building will have an effect off the page that will then create different things on the page, because it's happening all the time. Like when I come in here and I am sobby and weepy because I'm having a difficult time with my life, because I'm having difficult time with managing my thoughts, it's not because of anything that you guys saw. It's happening off the page, but you're seeing the results on the page, as it were. So that was Something So Lovely by Salem T. Lynn. Let me know, have you read this book? Will you read this book? It is linked down in the description below to check it out yourself if you would like to go through it and form your own opinions, see what I left out, because I left out a lot of stuff, and we're still as long as we are. With that said, have a great weekend, and don't die.
Was that Wayland Cross in the trunk? Do you know, or is that something that's still being figured out?
The person in the trunk was not Wayland Cross.
Is he in trouble?
We don't know who did it, but as the owner of the car, the longer he's missing, the worse it looks for him.
Cross isn't a killer. For the last couple of years, the average number of murders in Baltimore has been over 300, and it's been going up. Mind you, that's only whatever the badges count as official murder, and believe me, there are people that don't count when they die. Wayland? If you're down here, tell me. I'm not talking to the badges, I've been looking for you. They found a body in your trunk. Way. Why? Did you do that? To the left, plain black letters read along the wall. You walked in the corridor. Once that ends, you chose the dark is on the right. My vision goes blurry, flickers black and black and black for longer intervals until I can't see anything at all. I'm not screaming anymore, but my voice echoes back to me. Where the hell am I? You're dead, Josephine. Even smart people do stupid shit sometimes, right?